After 22 enthralling rounds of football and 2 pulsating legs of semi-final football, the big day is finally here as Edgeworth Eagles face off against Lambton Jaffas. For the first time in the NPL era, the grand final will be played at McDonald Jones Stadium. A huge step forward in professionalism for the game. And tonight, the Eagles, the undisputed kings of the NPL Northern New South Wales, go in search of a 3rd straight double. The Premiership and Championship in 3 consecutive years. Only Western from 1971 to 73 have done it before them, and they meet Lambton, a sleeping giant which awoke in 2013 and since promotion to the top flight has reached the grand final 3 times in 5 seasons and have celebrated grand final glory already once in 2014. The stars have aligned for a terrific grand final. McBreen, Sanders and Cavalier from the Eagles in the red corner. And they come up against the experienced core of Lambton, featuring the Griffiths brothers Joel and Ryan and Job Wheelhouse in yellow tonight. The stage is set. Let the grand final begin. And it's all live and free tonight on Bar TV. Wow, what a night we've got. Chris Turner and Damien Smith. Perfect conditions, no rain. Yeah, what a night.
Yeah, the conditions are perfect. The pitch is perfect. Smudge, you and I walked it last night. The grass is absolutely perfect. There's no reason for a bad touch. Everything about tonight sets up for a wonderful and great grand final.
I totally agree. And we were here last night doing our live show, and we walked on the pitch. The players came out and had a training session for an hour, Lambton and Edgeworth. They were buzzing. They were excited. We were buzzing on the show, weren't we? This is a great spectacle. Great for the local players to play at a brilliant stadium.
Yeah, for sure. And Ben, for you, this is a massive call tonight. We've been looking forward to this one for quite some time.
No pressure, Ben.
Oh, well, it is a big night of football. So I just want to run through the weather conditions for tonight. 16 degrees here in Broadmeadow. The wind a little bit stronger than what we've had earlier this afternoon. 16 kilometres an hour from the northeast. And CT, as you know, we do it for the regular game, so I'm going to bring it in here for the grand final. The visibility, 14.5 kilometres. It is perfect tonight.
It is perfect, and I'm not great on the lux, but all I can say is that even with my semi-good eyes, I can see it's perfect. Everything about the night sets up the way it should be.
I just want to run through the officials for tonight. Stephen Laurie is our referee on each sideline. We've got Ryan Gallagher and James Cleal, both of those two referee on the sideline, assistant referees in the A-League. 4th official is Glenn Peterkin. It's all set up for an exciting night. Where do you think this one's going to be won and lost? First to you, Smudge.
On the show last night, the bigger pitch definitely suits Edgeworth's mobility, pace, and just the way they're well structured. However, talking to James Pascoe, he's made a few changes to combat this. So I think it's going to be tighter than what most people think. I predicted an Edgeworth by 2 goals, but I think it's going to be a lot tighter. Like we know, Lambton has scored in every game this year. However, Edgeworth's defence is the key for me. They've been brilliant all year, and I think they might lock Lambton away. The other thing is, in the early 2 games, the ball very slow, wasn't it, CT? Very slow movement of the ball due to the furriness of the pitch. However, a little bit of dew will come on in the next 20 minutes or so, and that will pick up speed, which will suit Edgeworth for me. Your
thoughts, CT? Where is the difference going to lie tonight?
Well, it's a grand final, so as we've said last year, Bart, on Bar TV, and the year before, we see anything can happen on grand final night. Look, this pitch is big. We stood out there last night and we had a look at it. It's a big field. I like the look of Edgeworth that have mobility about themselves from top to bottom. Even McBreen, in his tender age, they run and they're mobile. I like the look of that. What will suit, I think, is a team that is able to stretch it from top to bottom, left and right, and keep possession for long periods. Said that before. I think, for me, I think that Edgeworth have got that capability. I'm not totally across the changes that you were talking about, Smudge, because I haven't spoken to James Pascoe. However, when they come out and we get a look in the first 5 or 10 minutes, that's when we'll really know how they're going to shape up and what his plan is to combat what I think is going to be a very, very strong Edgeworth attack.
So before we get underway and the teams come out, I'll just run through the lineups for tonight. In goals for Edgeworth is number 20, Nate Cavalieri. 10 clean sheets this year. What a year for Nate. by far and away the goalkeeper of the season. So here's their lineup along with Cavalieri. 2, Daniel McBreen. 3, Dom Bazzari. 4, Pat Wheeler. 5, Aidan Bryce. 6, Lockie Pasquale. 8, Keanu Moore, who's returned to northern New South Wales from Victoria and back to the Eagles. In 9, Brodie Taylor. 10, Kieran Sanders, the English import, who was playing for Far North Queensland Heat last year. He lost in the grand final against Redlands up in the NPL Queensland. Dylan Holtz in 11. 15, the captain, Josh Evans. On the bench for them is 1, Josh Lowe, the backup keeper. 14, Adam Corley. 17, the Japanese sensation. He's been a little down on form this year. It's Kigo Moriyasu. 18, Will Bauer, the youngster. And 19, Aaron McLaughlin, who comes onto the bench after he was in severe doubt for this one. For Lambton, in goals, number 1, the evergreen, Brad Swancott. 2, Liam O'Dell. 4, Nathan Verity. 6, and the captain. Here he is. There was doubt. There was never any doubt. Joe Wheelhouse. 8, Ben Hay. 9, Joel Griffiths. 10, Michael Kantorowski. 11, Luke Remington. 15, Riley McNaughton. 19, Michael Sessions. And 23, Ryan Griffiths. On the bench for them is 20, Daniel March. And he stood tall when needed this season. 3, Nathan Morris. There's a surprise. I'll come to you about that one in a sec, Smudge. 5, Ridge Marpu. 17, Pat Brown. And 18, Reece Tippett in his final match in the NPL Northern New South Wales. His final match of semi-professional football.
Yeah, we'll go into Reece Tippett a little bit later during the coverage. But, the big change is Nathan Morris to the bench. Michael Kantorowski coming in at that central fit, like the central 3 at the back. So he's moving from midfield to the back. And Luke Remington, more mobile, is coming in as the number 10. So Pasco's going with a 5-3-2, which is used in the last few weeks. But he's just had a few subtle changes due to the bigger pitch and due to the mobility of Edgeworth. So obviously he's trying to go like for like and try and, smother Edgeworth. For Edgeworth, they're changing shape. They went 5-3-2 against Magic. They're going for a 4-4-2. So, and the other thing with that, Sanders and McBreen have been brilliant up front together. However, he swapped it back. McBreen's come back into the number 10, and Kieran Sanders and Brodie Taylor playing the 2 strikers, the twin strikers.
Yeah, so that is it's an intriguing one for James Pascoe, bringing Morris out. So, as you mentioned, younger legs. And that sort of goes against what we were saying about where the weakness was going to be for Lambton. We were saying on the bigger pitch, older legs. So he's just taken one of those sets of older legs off and put them on the bench, James Pascoe. But
also he's moved Kantorowski, who's been very, very good in the middle of the park, to centre-back.
And he's been very good at that role when he's had to fill in there for Nathan Morris this season.
Well, they played a lot of his juniors at centre-back, and at Magic he played at centre-back. So he's a very good player at centre-back, but also brings Luke Remington in, and he's got pace. And he looked pretty sharp when he came on last week, didn't he, CT?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? With Morris, he's had an injury, so maybe he will play a part. So it could well happen, in the later stages of the game. His value is going to be unquestioned.
How good's this? The fireworks are on for the NPL Northern New South Wales decider. Stephen Laurie and his team of referees leading the players out onto the park. The Jaffas led by their skipper, Joe Wheelhouse. And Edgeworth by their skipper, Josh Evans.
And just on Job Wheelhouse, he's starting tonight, but we know he's not 100% fit. Lambton, with Job 100% fit, they'll lead the comp halfway at the term, weren't they? I mean, he's out for about 8 or so weeks. He's only played 1.5 games in the last 2 weeks.
Their winning percentage with Joe Wheelhouse, 73%. They've won 11 of 15 with him. They've lost just twice in the NPL this year. Without him, they've played 7, won 3, lost 3, drawn 1, 43% winning record.
And CT, I know you love Joe.
Look, I've made no secret of this. When he's in the team, apart from his ability to push people around where he wants them to, the confidence that he gives to the whole group is just something that has been a real standout for me. One player gives that much confidence to his team. You get it from top to bottom with Lambton, with him being in the middle of it. So, look, I agree with you, Smudge. This one might be closer than people think, especially with the tweaks that Pascoe has made. It sets up for a really, really strong grand final. This is what it's all about. It's so hard to predict when you get games like this, and how exciting is it on a night like tonight? Pitch is perfect, weather's great, great crowd in, and away we go.
And CT, we spoke about in the 20s, winning a grand final. You win the premiership, it's a great feeling, but that 2 or 3 minutes after the final whistle's gone and you've won a grand final, the elation's unbelievable, isn't it? The adrenaline.
You just can't describe it. And these guys will put everything on the line. They'll put their bodies on the line. They'll do anything that it takes, everything you practice, sure, it's all in play. However, at the crucial moments, they'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. And it's so exciting to watch a game like this because tomorrow it's all over. Today's what it's all about.
And just on that, watching the under-20s, Maitland, severe underdogs, weren't they? And they beat Hamilton Olympic, who were red-hot favourites, who won the comp by 14 points. And their elation and celebration after knocking off the favourites was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was incredible. And just interesting stat came out of that. Of the 6 NPL deciders, so that's youth up to 20s, just one Premier has gone on to win the grand final. That was Hamilton Olympic this season. I believe it was in the 15, so there you go.
Yeah, very interesting stat there, Bart.
Yeah, so Joel Griffiths in the centre circle alongside Joe Wheelhouse. Stephen Laurie to get NPL Grand Final 2017 underway. Lambton, a little bit of a false start from left to right of screen in the bright yellow. It's a great contrast to Edgeworth in the red. And we are potentially just 90 minutes away from one of these sides recording another grand final triumph. Will the Jaffas win their second grand final in 3 years, or will Edgeworth achieve the incredible, I should say, second grand final win in 4 years for Lambton, or will Edgeworth achieve the triple-double?
Hey, Bart, you talk about contrasting colours. How good does the yellow look? The Jaffas, it's just so bright out there.
It is very bright under the floodlights here.
And just quickly, Steve Laurie, the referee.
Yeah, what a season he's had in his first grand final in the NPL. He refed the New FM decider last year at Jack McLaughlin Oval. What a rise he has had in 2017 as Brodie Taylor almost sent on his way. Straight to Brad Swancott in goals. What a season he has had at the back for the Jaffas. He was red carded in round 4 against Valentine. And from that moment onwards, his season, he has turned his season around, really.
Yeah, he's been superb, Brad Swancott. You've had Brad Swancott, haven't you, CT? And he's been as sharp and as nimble as ever, hasn't he?
I think what Brad Swancott does is he brings another element into the game. One of them is, or that element is, his ability to play as a sweeper. He can play with both feet. He's very, very good with his distribution. He reads the game well, so he acts as an extra player for them where most teams don't get it.
Josh Evans strong in the air again, as we've known this season. Well, not just this season. This is 3 seasons of dominance from Edgeworth. That's the incredible thing. It's been turned over to Remington, who has an early shot. Nate Cavalieri, who Coach Daniel McBrain says is above this level. He was given shots at the Mariners and Sydney FC trialling, but never quite got anywhere for Cavalieri. He was the backup keeper at Lambton. They said last season he was going to be the first choice this year. Brad Swancott was thinking about retiring. He didn't. Cavalieri went, well, I'm on my bike, and headed to Edgeworth, and he hasn't looked back.
And his game against South Melbourne in the FFA Cup round of 32 was absolutely brilliant, wasn't he? He was just an absolute standout on the park. But just looking at Damien Zane, he brought McBreen back into the number 10 role, moved Brodie Taylor up front, which is a very interesting choice.
He's been in outstanding form in the back end of the season, Brodie Taylor. 7 goals in the 12 matches in the back end of the year. Here's Griffiths. Starting away, Verity curls it in, and up goes Cavalieri. The good grab again. Confidence boosting for him. Let's just have a look at how these two sides got to the grand final. Edgeworth, they got through a tight 2 legs against Broadmeadow Magic. They won the first leg 1-0 at Magic Park. Just a couple of minutes walk to the east from McDonald Jones Stadium, as is Lambton's home ground to the west, in fact. And Edgeworth got the 1-0 win in the first leg. In the second leg, I should say Edgeworth in the first leg 1-0 over Magic, and in the second leg they went down in 120 minutes 2-1 to Magic, but in the penalty shootout they got the job done 3-1. They were clinical from the spot. Nate Cavalieri was superb in goals, making a couple of saves. And Lambton, their route to the grand final, it may look a little easier on aggregate. 2-1 wins in the first and second legs against Hamilton, but it was not that at all. The second leg they were actually heading out of the final series until a red card to Daniel Bird. Kieran Sanders wins his side a corner until Daniel Bird was sent off after Hamilton Olympic scored their opener, and in the final 10 minutes Lambton scored twice and Hamilton fell apart and got through to the grand final.
But I know it's early stages, but we just
over 4 minutes gone. Here's Taylor curling this one in. Swancott, it's too easy for him. He's played plenty of times for the Breakers here, Brad Swancott. Maybe not at the stadium with all these new constructions. The Andrew John stand, of course, on the eastern side, and this new western grandstand. Great facility here in Newcastle.
But just early on, I just noticed the speed of the ball on the grass, and I'm going to ask you a question in a second, CT. But it's definitely a lot slower than what it was last night. There was more dew on the path. I think this will suit Lambton at the moment. Obviously, the dew and the speed will get a little bit quicker as the game goes on. So we talk about the stimp meter like throughout the course of the season, but it doesn't look too quick, does it, CT?
Not at the moment, but as the game goes on, I think the dew comes onto the park, it'll skid a bit more and run a little bit quicker. And you talk about the stimp meter. Look, what we're talking about there is the run and the speed of the ball over the park. And, you'd fancy that Edgeworth are going to enjoy a bit more pace about it, and Edgeworth will definitely move the ball a little bit quicker than their opposition in Lambton, who would like to keep more possession and hold and then build a little more slowly, as we see right now. Edgeworth, want to build quickly and turned over. But, that's I think as we see the game go on, the speed of the park will go a little more quickly than what it is at the moment.
Sessions. He's got away from Brodie Taylor. Now Nathan Verity.
Just on Wheelhouse. He's had a large involvement already, hasn't he? It's only been going for 5 minutes.
Here's Odell. Bit of drama with him last week in that tussle with Daniel Bird, which in the end resulted in Bird being sent off, as we mentioned, by going at it for 2 legs. Here is Wheeler. It's a lovely turn away from Griffiths. But this pass is not one of his best. Straight to Hay, and Griffiths quickly onto Remington. He's got some pedigree, Luke Remington. Wheelhouse scored a goal in Australia. Here's McNaughton unleashing. He's actually scored before in a grand final, 2015 against Western. He scored the opener in their win against the Bears in 2015, 2-0. Joe Wheelhouse scored the second in that one, which brings nicely to the grand final record. Lambton, they've played twice, won one, lost one. They lost to Broadmeadow Magic the year before in 2014, 4-1. And for Edgeworth, grand final-wise, they've played 10 times in the top grade in Northern, 5 wins and 5 losses, so both with a 50% winning record. And they've had 1 match go into extra time in 2002 up against Azuri. As here is Odell. Just fall nicely for Holtz. Curling it in. Up goes Swancott. He didn't get it. And he does win the free kick in the end.
Yeah, there's a foul by Keanu Moore on Swancott as he's going for the ball. Nice little cross by Dylan Holtz. But Breen coming in on the back stick. Better play from Edgeworth. First time they really actually showed a glimpse of getting into Lambton's box. But it is only early days, isn't it?
It is, but Swancott, as you see the ball delivered in here, he had eyes for the ball only. He just tried to launch his fist at it and didn't actually connect due to the foul.
Here's McNaughton. Yeah, for Edgeworth, 2 grand finals that have gone into extra time for them. 2002, when they went down 1-0 to Azuri, and pretty sure that 2003 grand final, Smudge, is that right?
Great turn by Ben Hay.
Ben Hay across the ground, where Edgeworth won it in golden goal against Magic.
Yeah, it was Chris Berlin who scored golden goal. I think Scott Maguire scored for us after about, maybe 2 minutes. And then I think it might have been, I can't remember who equalised, but I know Chris Berlin, I think it was Gary Wilson actually, former Edgeworth coach. And then Chris Berlin scored in golden goal with about 2 minutes left in golden goal.
Well, these two sides never involved in a grand final penalty shootout. It's tight enough to go that way tonight. Very tough to split, even though Edgeworth have slightly preferred McBrain with the nod on, and Swancott confident there, chesting it down. They've won their last 3 grand finals, Edgeworth. And interestingly, out there tonight, they've only got 2 players. So although they've won 2 grand finals straight, they've only got 2 players out there tonight that have scored in a grand final. Daniel McBrain, 2 last year, and Brodie Taylor scored back in 2015. Bren Hamill, who left Edgeworth with work commitments this year. He's the other goal scorer for Edgeworth in that grand final win over Hamilton in 2015. And their other goal scorer, who is technically in the squad, is Damien Zane. He scored in 2010 in their grand final win 4-2 over Western.
I was at that game and he had a brilliant game actually. He probably should have got man of the match, but Shane Knight got man of the match that day. But just on Joel Griffiths at the moment, he's done some great touches out there. He loves his field. He's played on this field many, many a times.
And he's got some great memories of it as well, hasn't he? Swan got just put under a little bit of pressure. Odell is going to be put under a heap of pressure by Sanders, and he cannot keep the ball inside the line. So 9.5 gone. Grand final 2017 of the NPL Northern New South Wales. Ben Homer, Damien Smith, Chris Turner with you in commentary. And it's Edgeworth and Lambton. Locked at 0-0. No great chances as of yet, and Dylan Holtz.
You see Lambton shaping up as a 5-3-2, but classic example there. I'm a big fan of the 5-3-2. Some people will 3-5-2, but in this case, where I'm a fan is that they had 5 defenders and clearly along that back line, and that's where it works. Now you watch them; they've got 3 at the back. Those 2 wide guys, they move forward, and then they're in attack mode. So there's a big difference. When they defend, they've got 5 at the back. When they attack, they've got 5 through the middle of the park smudge.
Yeah, you've got flexibility, and when you're on the attack, you can actually, if you're on the attack on the right-hand side, you can actually drop your left wing back, so you've actually got cover if need be, so you don't get really caught out. Where a 3-4-3, you can actually get really caught out wide.
Rylan McNaughton just not in a good way here. He's gone down just corner of your screen there. Maybe a head clash.
He's up. He seems okay, and he's not going off the park. So checked him out. There's no blood there.
There he is.
Okay to continue.
He's long for Griffiths, who just tries to knock it onto his brother. Ryan Griffiths, he scored in his first match against Edgeworth in the NPL, round 13. He scored the second goal. And that 2-0 win for Lambton, they were impressive that day at Jack McLaughlin Oval. Edgeworth in 2017, they lost just once at home. It was to Lambton. And back in round 2, they lost to Lambton as well. They lost 2-1 Edgeworth that night. Pat Brown scored a double. He's on the bench for them tonight. And Kigo Moriyasu, he's on the bench as well for Edgeworth. He scored for them that evening as well.
Just on the matchup in the centre of the park with Joe Wheelhouse and Daniel McBreen, they're sort of similar mobility-wise. You know, if it's not working for Edgeworth, I'd probably throw McBreen up front and probably put Brodie Taylor or County Moore just in behind because they've got more mobility than Job. And, you know, you want to test Job out with his sore ankle. Yeah,
absolutely. And the other thing that's amazing is that we saw Job on our live show that wasn't actually live in a boot. What boot is that?
Cam boot.
Cam boot.
I think it was a bit more psychological than anything, wasn't it? This is Cavalieri.
And then 24 hours later, he's out there and he looks free. So this is good signs for Lambton.
And Job sounded dejected last night. I think we all knew he was going to head out and play. Keanu Moore. Edgeworth definitely were going to the match thinking that. He's got a lot of time to recover from this Wheelhouse as well. So here's Moore. An early chance for Edgeworth. It falls for McBreen. He's a little frustrated he couldn't keep that one down, Daniel McBreen.
What an opportunity there for Edgeworth. This is bread and butter. Their build-up, and then opportunity fell for that, and McBreen throws his head up in the air after the strike. But watch this one delivered in. It falls perfectly for him. He knows this is a wonderful opportunity. And Wheelhouse was just off him and let him have a free strike smudge.
Yeah, and just going back to Wheelhouse, he just made the challenge just earlier up the park. The way he landed, he fell fairly gingerly on his ankle. That's why it took a while to get back to track McBreen. And because he doesn't have much game time, I think he might run out of puff nice and early because it's such a big pitch. That's why, for me, I'd probably put someone more mobile on him. Great turn by Joel Griffiths.
Keanu Moore gets cut down by Wheelhouse.
Just on that one quickly, but he will manage his time. He'll know what his body's got in it. He'll know what his legs got in it, and he'll manage it as best he can. He won't run when he doesn't need to. He'll go when he has to. If he fell, I missed that, but if he fell gingerly and got up slowly, that's the danger for Lambton. So, you know, Pascal will keep a close eye on that.
But he's a key player, and that's why you've got to take the risk. We said, if you heard us pre-game, 73% of the time they win with Wheelhouse playing. They win just 43% of the time when he's not playing. So that just shows you how key he was. Just before you go on, Smudge, 2 meetings this year between these two sides in the NPL. 2 wins for Lambton in the FFA Cup. Edgeworth won 5-0. It was a second-half blitz, 0-0 at the break, 5-0 in the second half. 5 different goal scorers for the Eagles. an outstanding half of football. Holtz, Bryce, Corley, McBreen and Sanders all getting on the score sheet. So just looking at the stat, so when Lambton have played Edgeworth and Wheelhouse has played, Lambton have scored 4, conceded once. In that half of football that Wheelhouse didn't play, of course he was injured at half-time in that FFA Cup match. That half-time challenge, or the shoulder-to-shoulder with Bryce where he fell awkwardly, have conceded 5, scored none. I think that says enough, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And just going back on Wheelhouse and Pascoe's shape, he's playing 5 across the back where Edge is playing 4 across the back. So it allows Wheelhouse just to mark space a little bit because of the extra number there. He needs to shuffle, but he can sort of screen in front of the back 3. So in a way, he can sort of, save a bit of time, conserve his energy. But he's been good in the opening 15 minutes.
Almost falls for Remington there. As I mentioned, Luke Remington scoring for the Joeys in the World Cup a few years ago now. And he's got a special celebration with the backflip. Might see that out tonight if he scores. As Evans lumps it forward, trying to find McBreen. Kantorowski strong in the air. Wheelhouse trying to knot it on. Scored twice last season, Joe Wheelhouse, and he's just scored once this year. The Jaffas skipper, it was Kantorowski. Played just the one A-League match, Michael Kantorowski, 2015, when the Jets won 1-0 against Melbourne Victory. Edson Montano scored that night. That was the Phil Stubbins regime, a lot of people call, and we knocked off Melbourne Victory. It was a special night. Michael Kantorowski will remember that one for a while, as tempted to be called, and it will cross the line.
Tell you what, boys, very even game, isn't it, in the first 15 or 16 or so minutes? Game of chess, isn't it, CT?
It is. Boys, one of the keys for Edgeworth for me is Pasquale playing in that frontal role in front of the back line, and how well he does that is.
That's a lovely ball from Sanders, and Brodie Taylor shoulder to shoulder with Kantorowski goes in and nicks it off Odell. McNaughton back to help for the Jaffas, but it's the Englishman who comes away, and in the end, great clean-up work at the back from Odell.
Back to Pasquale. Last year, in particular, I love the way he screened the back 4. You can see him in the number 6 role there. He's available. He sits deep, finds a gap, and he's available to pick the ball up. His transition from there, from the back line to him forward, is really key for me in the way that Edgeworth get out. And him in this role tonight is significant, and I believe that it'll be pivotal to the way that they go about moving up the park tonight.
Yeah, totally agree. And the other key thing is Remington's picking him up in that number 10 role. So Pasquale hasn't had a chance to get on the ball yet because Remington's right on holding his heels.
Nice angled run this from Verity. Now Hay, we know he can hit them from here. He lays it off to Verity. He's got an unmarked Remington on the left. Falls back and chipped into the box by Griffiths. Ryan it was. McNaughton, that's a dangerous ball, and Cavalieri has to punch it away. Huge play from the Eagles keeper.
What a tremendous ball by McNaughton. Well done by Nate Cavalieri. There was a lot of pressure on him then. Lambton Jaffas, they're just starting to come into the game, aren't they? They're starting to play some nice balls through midfield, using the width with this 5-man midfield.
That's going to be McNaughton on the long throw. Ryan Griffiths rises. It almost falls for Remington. It falls for Hay instead, and he just scuffs it wide to the left. Good opportunity there for Ben Hay, who's been brilliant in the last few matches. He's in the team of the year on the bench just because of those performances in the back half of the season.
Yeah, he's been superb this year, and that was just on his least favoured leg, wasn't it, CT? We've seen him score a few bombs on his left side, but on his least favour, he just hooked it a little bit.
Well, we saw him get the goal of the year from us, and he's got to have flashbacks every time he gets in and around the edge of the box. You know you've scored it before and you can do it again, and he'd be looking forward to getting every opportunity that he can to get a strike on goal. He only needs half a leg, and we know he can use his body to position up the shot.
Verity. Now Evans with the interception. Cavalieri.
The other thing what Jaffas are doing, they're not playing a high line, so Edgeworth can't Sorry, guys, I meant to Jaffa, believe it or not.
Wow. Oh, gee.
Wow.
No bias here. Smudge is going into the Jaffas.
But yeah, just on that, sorry about that. Lambton Jaffas just playing a little bit deeper, so therefore not allowing too much space in behind.
Here is McBrain. He has Dylan Holtz flowing forward. And very, very nice intervention from Odell again. That's 2 crucial tackles he's made already tonight. McBrain.
Yeah, he's been very good, hasn't he, Odell?
Pasquale turns away from Remington. And this is this width that Edgeworth like to play with, but on this occasion it will fall to Verity.
Yeah, another key for Edgeworth, but they haven't done it at the moment. He's getting their overlapping fullbacks in Bryce and Bazari, their left and right fullbacks, starting to push a little bit wider and higher, start to get a bit of an overload going forward.
And a good crowd in tonight, boys. Although only over here on the Western Grandstand, the crowd is just over on this near side of the ground, so you probably can't see from your on your stream is McBrain.
Yeah, it's been a good crowd all day, hasn't it?
Yeah, been great. Well, as here is McBrain. It takes Michael Kantorowski's head. It was a speed bump on the way through, and Swancott is there. Gleefully, there is the crowd. Very well packed out, Western Grandstand. Verity takes on more. Hey. And gets a little push in the back, Ryan Griffiths. He played that well. There he is, Pat Wheeler. He's been a rock at the back for the Eagles this season.
Well, Smudge, you've been talking about Pat Wheeler all year. He's been a key player for Edgeworth.
Yeah, him and Josh Evans, but Pat Wheeler's been outstanding this year.
Same with this man who's about to go up alongside Griffiths, Don Bazari. He loses out on that particular head of it. He's been great for them as well. Evans, who played in the NSL for the Brisbane Strikers. He played just the one match in 2003, in the 2003-04 season. He's a Queensland State League winner with Pine Rivers in 2005. And, of course, a grand final winner and premiership winner with Edgeworth in 2015 and 2016 as Griffiths just caught offside. That was Joel onto his brother Ryan, and it was Joel just a touch offside. Just over 21 minutes gone in the 2017 PlayStation 4 NPL Northern New South Wales decider. And this is not Edgeworth's final match of the season. They play Canberra Olympic in the NPL final series quarterfinals, so they've potentially got 3 matches left this year if they can get through to the final of that, as they did last season, Edgeworth, where they knocked over Bentley Greens, Perth, and then lost to Sydney United in the final. As Remington gets a little tug from Aidan Bryce.
Great turn by Remington, wasn't it, CT?
Yeah, he brings a real amount of energy into this team for Lambton, and Pasco's choice to play him in the place that he is a good one, you know, and on a big pitch with that amount of energy, he's going to be of high value to the group. As you see, Wheelhouse on the ball, he delivers something in probably just above, which doesn't go. He'll be disappointed with that behind the defence.
From Pasquale, the raised boot to control. The outside of the boot, I think, as well. Odell. A little bump from Sanders. And now Griffiths on his bike. And Wheeler. A good job to win his soul. Well, it's only going to be a throw for Don Bazari. But no chances to speak of thus far. The only real movement that either goalkeeper has had to make vigorously was Nate Cavalieri on the punch. James Pascoe, the Jaffas coach, there he is, getting out of his seat, not happy. The throw goes to Edgeworth. It's one thing I've never understood, boys, how important, you know, what a throw is. Here's Cavalieri.
Well, it depends if you've got someone who can throw a long throw. Chris Gazzard, who played many years of NPL, could throw the ball virtually in the net, couldn't you? So, you know, you'd probably knock it out for a corner rather than a throw in around that area, because you can throw it pinpoint.
He was playing for Bell Swans last weekend, Gazzard, in their loss to Cooks Hill in the UFM Grand Final. Here's the ball chipped in towards Keanu Moore, but Brad Swancott will gobble those ones up all day. Yeah, I just wanted to mention James Pascoe. He actually had pneumonia last weekend. Couldn't turn up for the semi-final win against Hamilton and didn't even watch on Bar TV Live. He was in bed with pillows around his head. So good to see him on the bench tonight.
And congratulations to Scott McCarter. He did a great job last week, didn't he? Made a few changes towards the end of the game to finish the game off. Ball on Pat Brown, scores the winner.
Remember that name, Scott McCarter, because I think he'll be coaching in the NPL in the not-too-distant future. He is a bright young man.
Been pretty even, hasn't it, open 25 minutes?
Well, it has, but, you know, the grand finals are typical of this. They'll have a lot of energy. Players will be running out a bit of nervous energy, to be honest, and there's a lot of adrenaline going on. So it's interesting, you know, the experience as we go of the some of the older players. We see a foul there.
Joel Griffiths is going to go into the book for an early yellow card. Might have a look back at that. Didn't get a good look at it down in the corner.
Yeah, he came in late.
Here it is. Yeah, probably fair enough from Steve Laurie there. And as a referee, just got to stamp your authority on the match at this point in time, because you don't want to let things get out of hand and let players get away with cheap fouls like that. So good decision. Yellow card.
Almost going to mention a few minutes ago the energy that Griffiths was showing, someone of his age, the amount of energy that he showed, and he's just done it again then. That just goes to show you how much this game means to the footballers when you consider how much he's done in the game.
Oh, I totally agree. Look at him. This is probably the most I've seen him run in a game in the second half of the season. He's really keen out there, isn't he?
And now he just almost nicked the ball off Evans. Here's Pasquale. Sanders lined it up. Just couldn't get the shot on target. He scored twice for Far North Queensland Heat in their grand final loss last year to Redlands. It was 3-2 the defeat.
And that's what he does well. See how he comes off the back four, turns, faces up and has a shot. That's the first time he's done it tonight. With him and Brody Talley, just probably want one of them just dropping into the pockets, not just staying high, because they're an easy pick. It's 3v2 if they stay high. Just want one, just dropping in the pockets, making one of the back three either follow. If they don't follow, you're free. If they do follow, creates a space for midfielders to run beyond.
Some of the older players in this team, Griffiths, McBreen, Swancott, they're already putting their hands up, aren't they?
Holtz. He was harassed and harried by Griffiths, and then Wheelhouse came across to, in the end, win the throw here for Lambton. Pat Wheeler just jogging off with the ball, and Stephen Laurie gave him a little glance.
This pitch is very tight. It'd be good if Lambton get the ball and try and open up out to Verity on the far side. Every one of Edgeworth's players is within even about a third of the pitch width-wise.
Wheeler lobs one up the ground, and Kantarowski just deceives him, and Brody Taylor almost in on goal, but the free kick went the way of Michael Kantarowski, former Magic man.
Just on Kantarowski, he's doing a good job at the central back, isn't he, CT?
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy in there. He's very safe. His tackling's good. He obviously, as a midfielder, he can play. His distribution is great. So this is a good move from Pascoe. Maybe with Morris, he comes in at the back end when they need a bit of experience. And this early piece for me, he's done very well so far.
As Verity sizes one up and just pushes it wide. I just wanted to speak about the early results today. Hamilton Olympic 4-0 winners against the Emerging Jets. Daniel McBreen, he's the coach of that Emerging Jets side. Not their day today. They control possession for the large parts, but Hamilton were just too clinical in the end. 4-0 winners. Bailey Blummel with a hat-trick in the grand final. If you missed his strike from the free kick, it was superb. Into the top corner, up there where the Spiders live from Bailey Blummel. And he scored a hat-trick. He was our man of the match as well, so check that out. And in the 20s, check out Maitland's celebrations after they beat Hamilton. Hamilton by far and away the best side in the under-20s competition. Maitland beat them 1-0 in the grand final, and the celebrations in post-match were just something to behold. So check that out. It was a great story for Maitland. So close to making the grand final last year, As Griffiths, he's holding his shoulder here. And Pat Wheeler now into the book for the yellow card.
Griffiths just, he was always okay there. He's just showed some experience and milked a yellow card from someone that he's potentially going to be going head-to-head with all night long.
And that could be a big moment, that yellow card. Now Pat Wheeler, he's got to watch himself.
What I like about Steve Laurie, the referee, he's in total control of this game, isn't he? He's made the right call so far. He just wants to stamp his authority on the game.
And how good was it to see Northern do a little piece on Steve Laurie during the week to go on the Facebook page and just to see the respect from the other players in the competition, from players that weren't playing tonight, saying, well done, mate. And that's great to see, the respect that he has between the players and himself as a referee.
I mentioned last night on our live show that his communication with players out in the park is just second to none. It's absolutely brilliant, and that's where the players like him and respect him. But the other thing is he refs the game for the whole 90 minutes, as seen in round 6, Magic versus Maitland. He gave out four penalties. Maitland were up 6-0, and he's giving out penalties in the 80th minute again, and they're all the right calls.
McNaughton, Griffiths, infield towards Remington, and Evans is fouled there by Remington. Wheeler, well, that may have been a little off the mark, but Laurie allows Edgeworth to go on. And now Aidan Bryce tries to hurdle over Verity.
Yeah, for Edgeworth, I wouldn't mind seeing Aidan Bryce and Don Bazzari just slowly push themselves forward into the game a little bit more. Use the width, spread Lambton's back 5 across the midfield.
They conceded early in last year's grand final, Edgeworth. It was a goalkeeping mistake which allowed James Virgili to score. Jim Fogarty basically played it straight to him, as Pat Wheeler just did to Joel Griffiths, who is charging down the right flank now. Former A-League Golden Boot. Now Holtz with the interception. And Griffiths is a little tired now. McBreen now over the top for Taylor, and Swancott. The sweep for keeper. Gee, does a good job of that, doesn't he, Brad Swancott?
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke about this before. That's where his strength is. If he stays on his line, then, you know, we've got an opportunity for Edgeworth to be one-on-one with the keeper. He comes out, gets a header away, and then we're clear of danger for Lambton. You know, Smudge, in reverse and mirror what you were just talking about, as far as Verity and McNaughton go for Lambton and their wide players, 5 at the back or 5 through the middle of the park, they can do the same thing. So it's cat and mouse as we go through the game. They've got to weigh each other up. They can't get caught forward. If they go forward, get caught out, turns over, and then are away, you know, on either flank. So it's really, as I said, cat and mouse.
McNaughton tries to chip forward. The 2017 Jaffas club captain. Wheelhouse, the captain on field, with the club captain Riley McNaughton, who's heading to Charlestown next year with Dave Chanchevsky, the new coach there. He's very naturally talented, is this man, McNaughton. Depth at cricket, golf, whatever he turns his hand to. And CT, do you think he'd be better than you?
At golf?
At
Yeah.
both?
100%.
What about Smudge?
Smudge goes all right with the golf club, so I'm
He
not
does.
quite sure.
He does. Here's Sanders. Going long for Taylor, who had some space, but it was quickly shut down by Sessions, who scored a huge goal for Lambton last weekend against Hamilton. A header, powerful header, to make it 1-1, and that was basically the beginning of the end for that semi-final, and Lambton through to the grand final today. Here's Keanu Moore. Now Taylor, across the face, just behind McBreen. Keanu Moore, he's just seemed a little quieter this season since he's come back from Bentley in Victoria. He came back halfway through the season. He scored twice for Bentley in the NPL Victoria. Just wasn't getting as much game time as he would have liked, and came back to the NPL Northern New South Wales. And he hasn't quite been back to the best form that he showed, which was last year for Edgeworth.
Yeah, but it's always hard to come into a side halfway through the season, and a side that was winning the comp, and you've got some quality players, quality midfielders in there, in Holtz and Brody Taylor. So, it always takes a little bit of time to adjust, even though he was, in the side last year. So
he's got a great record against Lambton. He scored 3 in his last 4 against the Jaffas. He scored in round 10 last season in the 5-0 win, and 2-1 and the 2-1 win in round 1 2015 as well. A very good record for Keanu against Lambton. Launches one, does McBrain.
Just on Swancott, he always hangs outside his own yard box, doesn't he? Looking for that sweeper roll. He's done it all his life. So I wouldn't be surprised if McBrain, they're good mates. He'll try and catch Swancott off his line at one stage.
That ball that McBrain played into the box, I think it was just a bit of, I'm aware you're off your line. If you come out too far, I'll have a crack. And that's about the message that was sent. Swancott, never in trouble there. He's comfortable. As you said, he's done it his whole life. He knows where the boundaries are. But as we said before earlier, he came off his line and diffused that situation, which could have been a one-on-one with him.
Norton. And now Remington gets around Bazari and just skews. Took a little deflection off Wheeler and straight to Cavalieri.
And again, Edgeworth, their defence is rock solid. They play so compact. It's so hard to get through, isn't it, CT? Have second man cover. They do it very well. Here comes Ben Hay.
Well, particularly with Pasquale screening in front of them. That for me is a key, and it has been all last year as well.
You just cannot see a breakthrough at the moment from either of these two sides. As McBrain now to Holtz. Of course it would happen as soon as I say that. And it will be an Eagles corner now. But really no golden chances in 35 minutes. But as much as it's been tight, it's been really good to watch. It's been high intensity. It's been high in quality.
Just on Odell then, that's again another cover tackle. He's having a superb game at the back on that right-hand side stopper at the back three for Lambton.
So Taylor, another one called off the bar. I think it was Evans on the turn. Swancott, well, all he had to do was chip it over Swancott, and there was an open goal there. We'll have a look back at this. The best chance of the game thus far.
If you watch Evans here,
was off the post from Aidan Bryce. Scored some big goals this season for Edgeworth. He scored the winner against Lake Macquarie in round 11 in stoppage time. And he scored the final goal just to put the nail in the coffin against Western in round 20. He also scored against Lambton in the FFA Cup. Here's the ball across the face from Griffiths. Now Griffiths' wheelhouse was flowing forward through the heart of it. The Eagles defence. Here's Hay. It takes a deflection. And it will be a Jaffas corner. He lined it up again, Ben Hay.
Nice little shimmy outside the box. Gets past the Edgeworth defender and just skews it just a little bit. You know the other thing with him, he's very calm in this situation. Like his goal of the year. He's very calm. He gets it. Little turn.
It was off Daniel McBrain as well. Doesn't he have some power in that left leg?
And he's sharp over a few yards to give himself that space to have the strike.
It's just genuine technique when you've got that power.
Griffiths looping it towards Wheelhouse, who was there, and here's a head clash. Just try and get the number plate. It looks like it is Josh Evans, the skipper. This is not good. And this is where we don't have concussion laws in football, so if he thinks he's all right to continue, Josh Evans, no concussion test, he'll stay out there. He looks like he will.
There is no way in the world he would come off in a game like this unless someone has to carry him off. Yeah. Unfortunate head clash with Job and Josh Evans, just in the back, just above the occipital.
Just quickly, Smunch, do you think there should be a concussion rule in football? I know it's a long discussion, but do you think something...
Yeah, I think so. I think, it's all about safety for the players, so I think they'll have to consider that if someone's obviously heavily concussed.
Here's Odell, probably his first mistake of the game, the pass from Kantarovski. Just over the sideline. Just invites some pressure here from Edgeworth, 7 minutes before the break. 2017 NPL Northern New South Wales decider. Ben Homer, Chris Turner, Damien Smith with you in commentary this evening. Aidan Bryce, that's a very important intervention because it allows the Eagles to apply the blowtorch for a moment. Lovely ball from Sanders to Taylor, and McNaughton did well just to shield him, and Swancott.
Just noticed the ball's starting to skid on a little bit. We said after about half an hour it started to skid on a bit. It was a little bit slow early in the game, but I just noticed, I feel the pass to this ball's just rolling on a little bit quicker. I think that will suit Edgeworth a little bit more.
So the same scoreline it was at this stage of the match, back in their last meeting in the FFA Cup and in their meeting in round 13. And I believe the same score that we saw in their round 1 clash. So each match they've played this year has been 0-0 at half-time.
But you mentioned before, there hasn't been any real clear-cut chances. And Smudge, you mentioned the name Scott Maguire before. He was a guy that could create something out of nothing. You coached him. You know him well. I know him well. He's been sort of a good 10, 15, 12, 15 years retired. But he's a guy that would love this stage.
Oh, he's the type of guy. He's an impact player, isn't he? He's just sort of... We'll get back to him in a second.
Remington. Verity now. Got a lovely left boot. And he calls this one in, Nathan Verity. Aiden Bryce was there at the near post. Great to have your company this evening, wherever you're watching around Australia and the globe.
Just on there, Bart, Edgeworth's transition is normally dynamite. They get 4 or 5 runners going forward. There they have 1 runner going forward. It's the bigger pitch. They're just trying to get used to the bigger pitch. So, but yeah, just going back on the Scott Maguire. I remember I coached him once against Hamilton Olympic.
At Broadmeadow Magic?
No, I was actually at Hamilton, actually. But he had a dodgy hamstring. We needed the win, and he said, put me on there, I'll score, then take me off. Put him on there for 20 minutes, scores a goal, I took him off.
Yeah,
so that's the type of player he is.
Well, it's a talent and the unpredictability, which in a game like this, you'd love to have him out there, which there's others out there like that today, and this man, Sanders, is one of them.
Yeah, here he is, the Englishman, Brodie Taylor, with his arms spread like an eagle, and Sanders took it on himself. Straight to Swancott, though, in the end. And
you know, the other thing, we're talking about the bigger pitch. These guys are obviously accustomed and, you know, they train on smaller pitches. So it'd be interesting to see how the engines go towards the back half of the season. You can see even now, like we spoke about Edgeworth in transition just before, you know, on their pitch, they're bombing 3 or 4, 5 players bombing forward just before they have 1 player bombing forward when they had a bit of space and Lambton caught out a little bit. So
here's Bryce. So in their most recent grand finals, Edgeworth, last year against Magic, it was 1-1 at half-time. And in the previous game against Hamilton Olympic in 2015, it was 0-0 for Lambton. Their win against Western, they're up 2-0 at the break and ground out the victory in the second half. Connor Evans was sent off in that match, the Bears midfielder, who now plays in Blacktown.
One of my former clubs, the old Blacktown. Great club, absolutely brilliant club.
Beat Apia Leichhardt during the week in the FFA Cup to make it through to the quarterfinals.
Smudge, back to your point very quickly before the free kick. Let's make nothing special out of this. There's just a lot of running out there tonight. And, you know, the last 20 minutes in a grand final when they put so much now, will tell.
Griffiths chips it. Wheelhouse! And that's the thing. 1 goal this year for Joe Wheelhouse. You wouldn't be surprised to see him score another grand final goal.
To be honest, we're on the 42nd minute, and that's gotten flown, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, it's flown.
Evans stepped away from Joel Griffiths as the Eagles fans on the hill. Pasquale started the season slowly. Has come right into form at the right end of the season. Keanu Moore sliding it through to find Taylor. Verity gets back.
Just on that play, Bart, I'd like to see Don Bazzari come high and forward a bit more. He had acres of space out in this left-hand side. You probably couldn't see it on screen, but if Edgeworth could switch the play a bit quicker, Bazzari was out wide, free as a bird.
Bryce with the long loping strides. Taylor to Sanders. Sanders, nice chip and chase over the top. He's so skillful, the Englishman.
And Kanarowski.
Nicknamed Big Hips. This is Kieran Sanders. We found out during the week. He's got such good close control, doesn't he? Got a low centre of gravity, so strong on the ball. And then Remington, that was intuitive from him. Going to flick it through to find Ryan Griffiths. Here's Evans now on the outside of the boot. And Verity just asleep at the wheel for a moment. And Keanu Moore almost is able to exploit that.
Sleep at the wheel. But
don't do it, CT. Do not do it.
No.
Here is McBrain, described by Craig Kerry so eloquently in the paper as the Peter Pan of Newcastle football. You've got to love that. McBrain over the top for Brodie Taylor. Away from Sessions, just behind Wheelhouse, who has to turn around quickly.
And again,
and Wheelhouse just not on the same page for the moment, but it won't matter now because Wheelhouse finds McNaughton. Edgeworth just in a little bit of bother, but Dom Bazari, well, he won the ball and is just adjudged by Steve Laurie to have bumped Riley McNaughton a little too heavily to the turf.
But, and again, both sides have got a little bit of turnover. And you know, the thing is, they're probably not used to the fluffiness of the pitch and the speed of the pitch. So, obviously, I think towards the back end of the game, they'll obviously get used to it a lot better. And I think you'll see a lot more chances at the moment. Here's Hay. He's in the box.
Hay across the face, and it will, well, in the end, the less said about the better, I think, as we tick towards the stoppage time in the first half. Glenn Peterkin, their fourth official tonight. Regular first grade referee in the NPL Northern New South Wales. He will hold up the board. And we are going to see 1 minute of added time in the grand final. The first 45 minutes. Sessions to Verity now. Such an arm wrestle tonight.
It's going to be interesting when they do go in at halftime how Job Wheelhouse comes back out. He'll sit down, he'll take a breath, his body will cool down a fraction, and then Smudge how he reacts to be able to, in 10 minutes' time, to come back out and go again.
Yeah, if I was Job, I probably wouldn't sit down. I'd probably just keep walking around, just keeping your ankle nice and warm. If there's a bike in there, just a slow cycle. Just keep nice and warm. If he goes in and sits down, cools off a little bit, he'll come out quite stiff and gingerly. So
Cavalieri with what looks to be the final play of the opening half of Grand Final 2017. The PlayStation 4 NPL Northern New South Wales. Stephen Laurie, whistle to his mouth, and that is all she wrote for the first 45 minutes of the 2017 decider in the NPL Northern New South Wales. Such a tight first half, limited chances to speak of, but that hasn't meant it's been boring. It has been a fascinating tactical battle, and both these two sides are going to have to come up with some answers in the second half if we are, or if they are, to win it in 90 minutes. Otherwise, it's the extra time again for Edgeworth and for Lambton for the first time in this final series. Half-time here at McDonald Jones Stadium. It's Edgeworth Eagles 0, Lambton Jaffas 0. Chris Turner, just sum up that first half for us.
In short, this is typical of a grand final. A lot of energy, a lot of adrenaline. There is a lot of movement. There is a lot of passing. There's turnover. You know what? It's not typically what they've practiced. When we get into the second half, we'll see things start to slow down a bit on the big pitch, and we'll see some genuine play. But at the moment, for me, it's been a bit of I don't know the best way to describe it. They nullified each other out, and that's about the summary of the first half.
Yeah, and for me, I think Pasco's got it right. Made a few changes, brought in Kanarowski at the back. He's having a great game. Brought in Remington, gives more pace in the middle of the park. I think he's got his shape perfect. Cat and mouse game. For Zane, if I was him at halftime, I'd probably push McBrain up front. Him and Sanders have been absolutely superb, working off each other up front. Bring Brodie Taylor back a bit so he can make that run in and beyond. That's where he's dangerous. He hasn't got the opportunity of doing that up high.
Thanks again for joining us. We will be back in 10 minutes' time. Edgeworth Eagles, Lambton Jaffas, all locked up in the grand final.
I'll ring Pasco. That's what I said to you. You know what? I'm really going to go. Are you ringing it? No. Oh, no. But you know what I was about to Pasco? That's what I said. I reckon this change would nullify.
Welcome back to the second half of the NPL Northern New South Wales Grand Final for 2017. Edgeworth from left to right in this second half in the red. Beautifully contrasted to the yellow of the Lambton Jaffas. Steve Laurie, referee, out there in blue tonight. The temperature just cooled down a little bit. It was 16 degrees when we started. It's 14 now, and the wind has dropped to 10 kilometres an hour from the northeast. So here we go. It could be the final 45 minutes of the NPL Northern New South Wales in 2017. And Edgeworth get us started in this second half. And boys, it was so tight in the first half. Can you pick a winner from here?
Look, this game it's still got plenty of legs in it. That's the amazing thing. 45 minutes is gone, and there's lots of energy, lots of turnover, and they're still putting in big challenges. When the game settles in, I think in about 15, 20 minutes, we'll probably have a better look at it. At the moment, still liking the look of Edgeworth. Still think that they've probably got just fractionally better territory, but that could change in a goal.
Oh, yeah, totally agree. I think it's going to be very tight till probably about 15 to go. I think when the more the dew gets on the pitch, it's going to suit Edgeworth. The speed of the play is going to be better. Like I said, I wouldn't mind pushing McBreen up with Sanders because they've been outstanding together this year, and get Brody Taylor just coming in from behind in that number 10 role and making runs in behind. That will create issues for Lambton. But for Pascoe, I think he's nailed his shape at the moment, moving Kanarowski at the back and bringing Luke Remington into the side.
It'll be interesting to see tactically just what changes in this second half with limited chances for both sides. Both coaches happy just the way it's going.
Well, don't forget on the bench for Lambton, we've got Brown, Marpu, Morris, Tippett.
Pat Brown, fresh from his outstanding interview with Smudge last week. That will go down as one of the best of the season.
And then for Edgeworth, McLaughlin, Bauer, Cawley, Moriyasu. So, plenty to come on here in the second half. And if things do slow down a fraction, the coaches have got opportunity to bring some extra legs into the game, there's no doubt, and neither of them have even flinched on a change just yet.
So Nathan Verity, come from the Mariners Academy to play for Lambton this year, his first year at the club. And not out of the danger zone for McBreen. It fell for McNaughton, and now Dom Bazari.
Yeah, I'd like to see Dom Bazari get forward. Him and Aiden Bryce get forward a bit more in the second half. They've sort of been sitting a little bit too deep for my liking. I like to see him, because Lambton's playing a 3-5-2, I like to see him push higher a little bit to really spread their five across the middle. And just on Edgeworth, I'd like to give a big shout out and congratulations to the Edgeworth 35s who beat Katara, my former side, 4-0 today. And they've got former players in Benny Smith, Craig Kennard, Josh Bark, and the old faithful goalkeeper Dean Conway.
Here's Griffiths across the face to Remington. He's got a lovely spot there, Luke Remington, just inside the 18. And he can't put it on target. The best chance of the game thus far.
Yeah, great opportunity for Lambton Jaffas, and unfortunately for Remo, just dragged it a little bit. Here he goes, here CT.
Big opportunity. Oh, it's just one of those, he had to pick the exact spot. Smudge, you mentioned some great names there, and just for fun, one of them, Craig Kenny, wasn't he a great footballer? He probably could have gone a lot further in the game than he did, but really enjoyed watching Craig Kennard play because his attacking prowess was just fun to watch.
Yeah, and two of those players, two goalkeepers, Dean Conway and Benny Smith, who obviously everyone knows that Aaron Moy scored two beautiful goals against him in the FFA Cup back 2 years ago now. But they're in the squad of 30 years for Edgeworth, so it's great to see them listening at home, and congratulations on their big win in the 35s.
How would you feel facing up against those guys who you're running out over 30 if you're about your age at 50, Smudge?
But just on Dean Conway, he plays on the back in the 35s and does a great job.
Bryce over the top now to Brody Taylor, who just well shielded there by Michael Kanarowski over the line. He has, gone almost unnoticed in the back line. That's how well he's played, Michael Kanarowski.
Yeah, he plays it very well. Like, I thought the move from Pascal, I was talking to Pascal before the game, and I sort of, when he said that, I sort of nodded to him. I thought, you know what, that's actually a really good move. Because I was thinking Edgeworth would overrun him on the big pitch. However, now they've got a bit more pace in the squad. Lambton's doing a great effort here.
Just done the little things right, hasn't he, Kanarowski? Here's Aiden Bryce. Luke Remington has got plenty of toe.
He's been good too, Luke Remington, hasn't he, CT? You're a big fan of his.
I am. I really like the way that he keeps very low, and Bart mentioned ball security, close ball security. He's got that. He gets in positions. Only just got to get half yard and get a shot on goal. Like the look of it.
So, boys, in the second half, we have to look for our Sports Click Man of the Match. Gets a $100 voucher for humour, and our Harry Schnitzel Plays of the Day. So we'll talk more about that in the second half.
Kantarovski and McBreen has given away the free kick. McBreen just ensuring Kantarovski is all good after that. We're entering the period where goals have come thick and fast in fixtures this season between these two sides. There's McNaughton almost on the turn. In the 53rd minute of their last two fixtures, we've seen goals. Dylan Holtz in the FFA Cup in their last match for Edgeworth, and Luke Remington in the 53rd in round 13. In the match before that, it took till the 58th for a goal. So it's this period in the match where goals have come between these two sides in 2017. Bryce chips forward. Kantarovski just letting it run on, and Brad Swancott just makes it look easy, doesn't he? Sweeping out from the back.
Look, again, that time he's got an option to either play it out, play it to one of his defenders, but he knew it was a little bit tight, so he sent it long and out. That's smart.
And he's the best in the business in sweeping around, isn't he? He's been one of the premier goalkeepers in the local competition for a number of years, hasn't he?
Well, one of the big things, and we've spoken about this before, his ability to talk to his players on the park, give them clear direction and confidence to play football in the way that they've practiced, and he does that every single week, all game, every game.
Pasquale. And now Odell. All of a sudden, there's space aplenty down the right. Griffiths back to Odell. Ryan Griffiths in the middle. Odell just behind. The pass lacked a bit of accuracy.
Yeah, I think if he had his time again, you'd probably play it in the Ryan Griffiths' feet and try and actually follow it up and then have a shot, play a quick one too, because there was heaps of space in the 6-yard box there. They got him behind quite well, Lambton. Here we go here. Liddell. Yeah, there's just no back run. And that's part of the big pitch. It's hard for players to get up 50, 60 yards where if it's on the local pitch, they're only going 40 yards.
That's right. And sometimes mentally, just to go that bit extra, you're just going to save it for the next cycle.
Keanu Moore. Here is a moment that just opens up for Dylan Holtz, and he didn't miss by much.
Oh, well, Holtz would just be ruining. Have another go at that. He just had it open. You look at the anguish on his face here. It falls beautifully. Good touch in his stride, and
just lost balance, didn't he?
Yeah.
As he went to strike, he just lost balance. It was on his least favoured foot, but he can strike him well with the left foot, but he just lost balance as he was striking. It's all about techniques for the young guys at home, isn't it, CT?
Well, if you're a goalkeeper, look at the technique. Swancott came off his line, reduced the angle so that he didn't have a big target to hit, made him make a choice, and fortunately for Lambton, that one went wide.
So, boys. Bryce. Oh, this is a poor ball, maybe. Oh, very, very well done from Don Bazzari to get across. And that's a poor ball from Pat Wheeler. It's the second time he's just lost his radar tonight, the Eagles centre back. And now Aidan Bryce has the clean-up work at the back for the Eagles. Pinpoint pass to Moore. Evans. This is nice movement from Edgeworth. It just broke down slightly with Taylor. And now Evans wins the free kick. And probably from a Lambton perspective, a good foul there from Ben Hay, because Edgeworth were... there were some crisp passes there from the Eagles.
Yeah, that was a lot better from the Eagles. And the thing is, what I like is when Josh Evans moves himself into the middle of the park, like a Nick Zelich. He creates the overload in the middle of the park. He's so calm and comfortable on the ball. That's the first time he's done it today. I think you'll see more of that in the second half.
Pasquale tries to pick the pass. It falls nicely for Holtz. Still Holtz. And he gets squished, sandwiched in the end between two Lambton defenders. It was Verity and also Sessions in there doing the clean-up work for the Jaffas.
So just on that, that's more Edgeworth like the quick interchange. McBreen, Sanders, Keanu Moore, and well defended by Lambton.
Things just starting to look a little brighter, aren't they, for the Eagles?
And also I think there's a bit of, like I said, talking about Dew on the pitch, that the ball's running a bit quicker, which is suiting both sides here.
What a run. What a run this is from Aidan Bryce. Wide he goes. Taylor lines it up. And Odell got his backside in the way of it. McBreen, does he size it up? He doesn't. He just chips it neatly across the ground. Keanu Moore. Now for McBreen. He looks at it. McBreen. He hits it. Falls for Sanders. Steps away. Sanders. Great save, Brad Swancott. Sensational in goals again.
What a save from Swancott. Gee, it comes down to the big moments, the big players, and they're all in line here. Sanders tucks inside. Had his spot peeked out, and Swancott equally up to the task. And that's where the big players come into their own.
They've shown their intent, Edgeworth, in the second half already, haven't they?
Bazari on that left boot. Swings it in. Evans. And Swancott there again. That was a moment in the game you just put an asterisk next to and say, how much of an impact will that have in the wash-up? Huge moment for Swancott. Here's Holtz. The intriguing stat is in Edgeworth's last 3 finals matches in the NPL Northern New South Wales, they've only had one man who's scored all their goals. And it's that man on the ball, Daniel McBreen. He scored once last week in the second leg, once in the first leg against Magic, and twice in the grand final. Sanders, can he keep it inside the line? He can. Look at the strength to hold off a man like Sessions, who then out-muscles him.
He did well, Sessions, didn't he?
Remington steps inside Evans and then cuts down Keanu Moore, it is. And he's going to go into the book.
Pasquale, I think it is.
It's Pasquale, sorry.
Just on both sides, I think fitness is going to be a key point towards the back end of the game, you reckon, CT? And I think Edgeworth playing 120 minutes is going to favour them last weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And we spoke about Joe Wheelhouse earlier about him managing his time.
Just have a look at this. Joel Griffiths has had a seat in the centre circle. So it looks as though his night is done. He has done so much running tonight, Joel Griffiths. I'll probably say as much as he's done all season, probably more. And it's Pat Brown who is warming up. He was the killer last weekend of Hamilton Olympic season. He was the killer in round 2 against Edgeworth. He scored a double. Alex Johnson-Young getting him fired up. Pat Brown. So Joel Griffiths, no goals in the grand final. He scored 10 times this year for the Jaffas. This could be his final bow at McDonald Jones Stadium.
He's had a good game, hasn't he, Joel Griffiths? That's, like you said, that's the most running he's done. He was so keen. He loves playing on this pitch. He's had so much success on this pitch. He's had a good game.
What a career he's had, Joel Griffiths. If this is the final time we see him in the professional/semi-professional environment, he gives the crowd a round of applause.
And just on that, Bart, this could be a blessing in disguise. Lambton throwing a bit more pace up front.
The end of an era, potentially. What a year he had in the season. The Jets took out the A-League.
The big roar from the crowd when he came off in appreciation. I think that's a lingering roar from his days here with the Jets.
And he deserves it. Here's McBreen. Again, sizes it up and tries to find Sanders. It falls for Moore. I said he hasn't scored many this year. But what a goal it would be if he managed to put one in on the biggest day of the season.
A great ball by Remington.
Neat turn from Ryan Griffiths. So a bit more youth out on the pitch now with Griffiths coming off and Pat Brown going on. He scored some big goals for Lambton this season.
You know
he
what?
Loves this stage, doesn't he?
Edgeworth's just starting to get into the groove now. Josh Evans just moving forward a little bit. They're playing their interchange passes. They're starting to get into the groove, I think, Edgeworth. They're going to come home strong.
Liz Sessions, he's not going to go into the book here for this knock on Evans. He's been in the wars tonight, the Eagles skipper. Gets up with a bit of a limp. So still no goals in the match. We've passed that 58th minute, which was the longest we've had a scoreless match between these two sides this year. It was Pat Brown who broke the deadlock at Arthur Eden Oval. Here is Bazari curling it in. And Brad Swancott nicely there to clean up.
We've still got half an hour to go, boys, but I just got a feeling Edgeworth's just starting to...
They just are, aren't they?
They are. You know what? This is where their fitness comes into play. This is where their mobility comes into play. The speed of the ball on the pitch is getting quicker, which is starting to suit them.
And just, we aren't in that period of the match yet, but in the final 15 minutes, Edgeworth have scored 11, conceded none. Taylor sizes up the chance, and Swancott got down low and did well. Very well done here from Swancott. Down low to his right was bobbling.
He's been superb this second half of the season, hasn't he?
It was ever since that red card that he suffered against Valentine, and Daniel March came in for a couple of games, and Daniel March, who is the keeper on the bench for the Jaffas tonight, was wonderful in those two matches.
Yeah, he's a very good goalkeeper.
And from that moment forward, Brad Swancott has just had the glint in his eyes, and he stood tall.
Just see Lambton's back five. It was well done by Remington, but yeah, they're the wider players are just getting a little bit lazy and staying a little bit high. They just need to be a little bit careful. They still need to do their work in defence.
Here's Pat Brown. He was injured in that round 13 match against Edgeworth when Kieran Sanders and him came shoulder to shoulder late in the match. He fell on that elbow, which is still strapped up this evening. McNaughton. And well over the byline.
Well, interesting you mentioned that, Smudge. They do need to do a job in defence, but they also need to do a job in attack. And this is where, if you are getting a little bit more tired, players like Verity and McNaughton need to stay in the game, because their job in attack, if they don't go forward, they're leaving their attackers skinny. So they've got to be there and available as they've got to be in defence.
Keanu Moore. Sanders up and over the top for Taylor.
And there you can see McNaughton caught in a high. Dylan Holtz running wide on the left-hand side. So McNaughton and Verity just need to be a little bit careful. If they are a little bit tired, they just probably need to sit a little bit more and just take it in turns going forward, like that pendular action.
Coach Damien Zane taking a big gulp out of his bottle there.
He just sits there on the bench, doesn't he? Doesn't get out of his seat very often. Very calm on the bench. And down the other end, James Pascoe, very much the opposite. Stalking around in his technical area. Bazari again. Can he get his radar right? This time, McBrain scored from a corner last year in the grand final. Almost another chance for him there. Grand final disappointment already for him today. He's emerging jet side beaten in the 18s decider 4-0 against Hamilton Olympic. Looking to get another, or add another piece of silverware. What a career he's had. Daniel McBrain, he played in the 2013 A-League grand final. He was man of the match and scored in that 2-0 victory over the Wanderers.
And just having a look, Zane's done what we predicted. They moved Zane up, McBrain up front with Sanders, who've been tremendous all year, and Brody Taylor coming in that number 10 role, just coming from deep, and that's what he does best, running beyond the back three, back four from deep. I thought Zane would do that throughout the game sometime.
Well, the reason for that is because McBrain has done a huge amount of work sitting behind him. Now, when you go into that position, you do a lot less running, and therefore, you know, in the clinical moments, those moments that make a difference to finish, he'll just have that little clearer presence of mind to make good choices. There's
a lovely ball from McBrain. Taylor almost off and running, but Michael Kantorowski read it perfectly.
Actually, back on my point, I don't think they have swapped, actually. I think McBrain was just getting a breather up front. Now it looks like Brody Taylor's moved forward.
Keanu Moore tried to tug back Remington. He knew that was an important moment there as Remington. Now Keanu Moore gets pulled to ground by Ryan Griffiths.
Hey.
A little more heavily there, the tug from Griffiths, and the free kick goes against him.
Yeah, so I think you'll find Brody Taylor and McBrain probably swap a little bit in the second half. I thought they were doing a permanent swap, but it looks like Brody Taylor's gone back up front, McBrain back in behind. Because McBrain's doing a lot of defensive work in that middle of the park.
And you can do that. There's no issue there whatsoever. We see some punters on the hill all dressed up, ready to go for Edgeworth.
It was actually Tyler who won the PS4 console, actually, earlier today in the shootout.
Boys, just really quickly, a big shout out to the boys at Morisset Police Station who enjoy watching Bar TV. You know what? Ian Macy and Big Stu Hamilton, huge fans, are watching the game right now. So
on the job?
Well, hang on. There's no call out, but the boys are there. They're ready to go, poised, and you know what? They wouldn't watch their iPads or phones whilst they're in the vehicle, I'm sure, boys. But if down the Morisset area, don't test it out because they're ready to go.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. There might be a crime spree in the Morisset area, CT.
Not at all, because the boys have got a bit more adrenaline pumped up and they'll be even more fired up. Don't go there, anyone. These guys are all good. But love their work at Morisset Police Station.
Here's Sanders holding it up nicely. And Wheelhouse almost played it back to the Englishman.
You know what, Lambton are starting to drop a little bit in defence, aren't they? They're starting to just drop off their plays. They showed great intent in the first half, really putting pressure on Edgeworth players, but they're just slowly starting to drop off.
Bryce to McBrain.
Oh.
And Bryce gets cleaned up by Verity, who's going to go into the book here.
Silly challenge by Verity. Still a long way to go. Now he's on a yellow and he's a defender, or a wing-back. So if I was Bryce, I'll be getting at him because like he could easily get a second yellow card because he'll get caught in one-on-one situations with Bryce overlapping.
Two goals this season for Nathan Verity. Bazari swinging it in again. McBrain close, just wide again. He's hunting another grand final goal. There's Daniel McBrain. Less than 25 to go now. Bazari, it was another good ball. Here's Nathan Verity. Remington now to Brown. Now across to McNaughton. It was read well by Bazari.
Brilliantly read by Bazari because I'll tell you what, Brown was off.
And now Holtz. Charging down the left edge, Dylan Holtz. And now Taylor. Taylor! Swancott. Superb reflexes to his right.
Swancott, that was absolutely brilliant. Watch Taylor turn two Lambton defenders here and strikes on goal. He skids off a little bit, but Swancott was to the challenge, wasn't he, CT?
Yeah, as he has been, and again he stood up for Lambton.
Great save.
Odell now to McNaughton. Just looking a little tired out there at the moment, Riley McNaughton. He's done a lot of work tonight.
Yeah, it's tough for wing-backs here.
And Ben Hay. Can he find Griffiths? Still Ryan Griffiths! Across the face, Remington. Was he just a little asleep there, Luke Remington? If he has had a push forward, there was an open goal, a gaping goal.
Yeah, I'd like to see the replay again. Like now, he should be going now, straight in. Remington on number 11.
Well, Luke Remington and Pat Brown was there too. There was the opening for the Jaffas.
He's not a natural striker, Luke Remington. He's a midfielder. Strikers, they just go straight for the goal, don't they, CT?
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? That's probably the chance of the game so far.
I'd have to agree with that. Michael Sessions, hero last weekend, up to Wheelhouse. McBrain away. You can sense things just starting to get a bit more frantic. Rising is Kantorowski. It was always rising the header. And it will just be the goal kick.
That's better from Lambton. Better passage of play to get numbers forward as well. Better speed on the ball. Game's starting to open up a little bit, isn't it, boys?
Well, it had to because it's been such a frantic pace for the first probably 60 minutes.
McBrain, wide he goes to Bazari. He said it was the first match this season that he's felt sore after was last weekend against Broadmeadow Magic. He put in a titanic shift. Daniel McBrain scored and then ran the length of the field after he scored. You see Adam Corley warming up for the Eagles. Just 2 goals in the NPL this year. He scored in the FFA Cup, and it was against Lambton at the regional football facility. Scored a couple in those round of 6 and 7 matches. Scored against Maitland to send them through, so shouldn't be too far away. He is going to warm up again. The rest of the Eagles bench sitting there next to Damien Zane and the coaching staff.
Just on McBrain. McBrain swap with Sanders now. They're just interchanging it a little bit, which is good. It's good to see change the options up a little bit.
Well, you knew a triple-double for Edgeworth. The premiership and the championship in 3 consecutive years. It wasn't going to be easy. And Lambton have thrown everything at them tonight. Australia on the turn.
Yeah, I think Pasco's team selection is spot on tonight, and their shape as well. They've just nullified, they've squeezed Edgeworth, but also Edgeworth, they've been rock solid as well.
Just mentioning the Western side who achieved the triple-double, going on score lines. They did do it fairly easily. In 71, they beat Wallsend 5-0. In 72, Toronto Awaba 3-0. In 73, Adamstown 4-1. And then in 74, they won the grand final against Adamstown 3-2, but didn't win the premiership. New Lambton South won that. McBreen has to slide it through for Holtz. So this has been 3 really tough grand finals for Edgeworth. It was close against Magic last year. It was very tight against Olympic as well, although it was a 2-0 win. Olympic were in it until the last minute of the match when Brodie Taylor sunk the dagger in. Here is Sanders. He's got 2 and 3 around him. Here's a poor ball. Falls for McBreen. And he struck it straight at Swancott, who took it. It was going that quick. It was like a slips catch.
We've seen him score from there before, and that one wouldn't have surprised to go in, but Swancott up to the task. Here he is, turns, instinct hit, but Swancott perfectly positioned.
And just on that, I think Lambton is getting slightly tired because, you know, a few mistakes are just creeping into their game. So there's still another 20 minutes to go.
James Pascoe just got up and has said, calm it down, boys. Just calm it down. And Swancott is just taking a little bit of time there. Wheeler, strong in the air. Sanders just couldn't get there in front of Kantorowski.
Yeah, I think
at the moment, I tell you what, I don't know if I could go past him for Sports Flick Man of the Match.
Kantorowski has just been absolutely brilliant. Oh, I love him in that position. I played him in that position at Magic. He's brilliant. Look at that. He's so calm on the ball. But in saying that, he's also played very well with Jobe in the centre of the park this year. I think it's a great move by Pascoe. Pascoe has to be applauded for that.
Here's Pat Brown holding it up. Whitey goes to Remington.
He's been good too, Remington, for me.
Back for Verity. And Pasquale uses his body very, very, very well. And now Brodie Taylor's header.
Back to
not where he intended it.
Back to Kantorowski. You know, as a midfielder, generally speaking, they have all of the attributes: attack, defence, distribution, and he's got all of that. And his ability in the middle of the back. If you're a good tackler, all of those other things that we've just mentioned work. And Pascoe has seen that, put him in there, and you know the speed that Edgeworth have got up front and the ability they've got up front has been the perfect choice. I questioned Morris being left out of the side, but it's so far so good for Lambton.
Yeah, I thought it was a great move. Like I said on our live show last night, I thought Edgeworth would win by 2, mainly due to pace and the size of the pitch and the quickness and their mobility in midfield. However, with that change, it brings a bit more pace on the park for Lambton and fitter players, because Morris has barely played in the last few weeks.
Sanders chips over the top, and Lambton, good communication at the back. Here's Damien Zane chatting to Adam Corley. He will be on there in just a second. The former Jets youth who's played at the back for the Jets youth. He's been in the midfield for Edgeworth this year. Just a quick reminder, this Thursday we'll be having our grand final review show. It'll be on the NPL Northern New South Wales Facebook page at 7 p.m. this Thursday. So we'll be reviewing all the action from the 18s, the 20s, and this grand final. And we'll also be having a look forward at Edgeworth's match against Canberra Olympic in a couple of weeks' time when they head down to Canberra to take on the Australian Capital Territory champions. So Joe Wheelhouse.
Just Adam Corley on the bench. You know what? He's a great injection for Edgeworth. He makes those runs in beyond, which Edgeworth haven't done so much.
So just want to ask you two, who is going to come off? Are you thinking Keanu Moore, Dylan Holtz, Pasquale?
I'm unsure.
Will it be Brodie Taylor? Is there a 9 there? No, it's going to be Keanu Moore. So another quiet night for Keanu Moore. He did a lot of work.
Yeah, the other thing is about people getting, like, his Jobe as well. But
and Joe Wheelhouse will leave the ground. Expected to play on again next year, but he might be in Edgeworth colours in 2017. So this could be the last bout for Jobe in a Lambton jersey.
Can I say, he's been absolutely tremendous. injury cloud coming into the game. He's barely played in 8-9 weeks, hasn't he, CT? He's dictated that midfield, hasn't he, when he could. And obviously he was going to get fatigued on the bigger pitch.
Scored in the 2015 Grand Final against Western, as we spoke about earlier. Only one goal in 2017.
So that change brings Kantorowski back into the middle of the park. This is something this probably was a pre-plan early in the piece, where he sits in the back line, and then when Jobe comes off, if he comes off.
Here's Holtz, and Sessions just slipped over. That was well done by Michael Sessions. After all that.
Then Kantorowski back in the park. Back in the middle of the park.
Michael Kantorowski. Then will be in the middle of the park for the Jets. So Nathan Morris out there. Here is Sanders, sizing it up and launching one just wide.
And that's what I like to see Sanders pull off, come deep into the pockets of the back three, back five, whatever. He'll get space there, able to turn and have a shot. Yes, you did say Ben Kantorowski. It's Michael Kantorowski, mate.
Sorry about that.
So inside the final 15 minutes. So here are the stats for both these two sides. Edgeworth scored 11, conceded none in the NPL Northern New South Wales. Lambton scored 10, conceded 6. Although last week they scored 2 in the final 15 minutes to beat Olympic. So before that it was 8 scored and 6 conceded. So this is where Lambton have leaked some goals in 2017. Edgeworth have not leaked any. They've only leaked twice in the final 15 minutes in all matches this year. That was against South Melbourne in the FFA Cup and also against Hamilton Olympic in the FFA Cup.
Well played by Lambton. Verity. A few 1-2s. Oh, he's going to get caught.
And he's turned it over, and there's some space that's opened up at the back because of that. Holtz was diving in with Sessions. And McBreen, he may have nutmegged Steve Laurie there. It was well done by the referee to get out of the way. Bazari loops forward. Hayes' shot will clearance scoot off the side of his boot. Does Aiden Bryce size it up? He does. And just couldn't keep it down. We know he can hit a ball. It's taken a deflection. Aiden Bryce sized it up. He scored a thunderbolt against Lambton back in 2015. There it was from Bryce. Yeah, 2015, a stunner against Lambton at Arthur Eden Oval. As we mentioned, a 5-minute walk to the east from here, if that. Sanders curls in. McBreen at the near post. No one on the penalty spot for Edgeworth. Had there been a man there, it could have been another story. Bazari gets tugged by Griffiths, and fair enough there, the free kick going the way of the Eagles.
That's what I like about Bazari. He always uses his body well. He's got nice touches. His ability to use his body in defence and in attack, he just does a very good job for me, and he's been a great player this season.
He said the professionalism of the competition this year took a step forward with the grand final at McDonald Jones Stadium. This does not look good at all. It's Ben Hay who is down. But Edgeworth are going to play on. Brodie Taylor straight to Swancott, and he's going to put this out. He's going to put this 10 rows back, Brad Swancott. Should have Edgeworth kicked it out there, boys. What are your thoughts on that?
The play was already in motion. They were on their way. Look, Swancott cleaned it up and put it away, but we'll see what's happening here with Hay.
And just going back to that, the professionalism of bringing the grand final here, but the professionalism on the park, it's just taken another step forward, hasn't it? How good has this grand final been? Albeit 0-0, and for the neutral, maybe a little boring, but the intensity for us up here has been outstanding.
Well, the energy of the first half in particular, where you've just got so many players just putting their body on the line, so quick. The speed and the pace of the play, you really notice the step up in class. And, you know, for me, I think this whole game is now really getting to a point where we can see a goal, because I couldn't see it in the first half, but now we've got more open spaces, Smudge.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, players are starting to get tired. Look, a few of the players are out there stretching. This is very important for Ben Hay and Lambton. If Ben Hay comes off, it would be a massive blow for Lambton, because, you know, he's been their real threat for the second half of the season, hasn't he? He scored a few bombs, scored a few goals, but it's just his mobility, and he looks very ginger on the sideline, doesn't he, CT?
Yeah, well, you're the medical professional, Smudge, physiotherapist. You always talk about putting weight through your step.
So they've got 2 players that are left on the bench, Lambton. They've got Reece Tippett, who will play his final match tonight if he gets out there. If he doesn't, It will still be his final match. The former Western Bears Player of the Year in 2008.
I think Lambton need to make a change very quickly. They're a bit short of numbers here.
They are. They're down to 10, and Aiden Bryce is looking to exploit that. McBreen wide, infield. This is what Edgeworth do best. Corley, it's going to loop. And it will be another corner. Edgeworth are just putting the hammer down. So Ben Hayes gone. What a sad way to end his season. Ridge Mapu is on. The former Valentine winger. What a season he had last year, Ridge Mapu. 4 goals last year. He hasn't been quite as productive in the goal scoring department this season. This one curled in. Swancott with a punch away, and it will be a goal kick. No goals this year for Ridge Mapu. We'll see if he can stand tall tonight, but well, it's sad in the end that Reece Tippett won't get to go out there in the grand final.
So just looking at that that substitution, looks like they moved Ridge Mapu up front, did a bit of pace up front, and really caused Edgeworth a few issues, and dropped Ryan Griffiths just back in the midfield because he's got composure on the ball. He can sort of just sit there and play like Ben Hay was doing.
One thing Mapu does do well, when he does get in and around the box, he uses his body. He's got a real low centre of gravity, and he drives at the box. And when he gets in there, it's easy to bring him down. And as a defender, you don't like that because he just really muscles his way into the box, and we've seen him do that time and time again.
So we're less than 10 minutes from the full time in normal time here at McDonald Jones Stadium in the 2017 NPL Northern New South Wales Grand Final. Ben Homer, Chris Turner, Damien Smith with you in the final match of the season. Verity to Remington. Lambton have made all their changes now.
Yeah, which, depending on how the game goes, if it goes to extra time, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So,
McBreen now to Taylor. Verity just standing off him. McBreen.
It's a lovely switch of play.
He spotted Don Bazari out of the corner of his eye and then put the ball on a platter for him, the left back. McBreen rises. His header across the face. Griffiths and Remington. Evans to Pasquale. And Bryce just couldn't keep it inside the line.
Yeah, good pressure by Ryan Griffiths. Boys, we have to start thinking about it. I know this could even go to extra time, but we need to start considering our Sports Click Man of the Match, $100 Puma voucher, and also our Harry Snitty Player of the Day. Love the old Harry Snitties.
It's your favourite, Smudge?
Yep, famous Mice Cucumber with the sweet chilli sauce is my favourite. There's shops at the Junction, Stockland Jesmond and Marketown.
Yes, Sports Click Man of the Match, thanks to Joel Grinnell. He's sitting on the Jaffas bench this evening. And Harry Snitzel, Player of the Day. Josh Evans, he seemed to be a little nervous there as he chested that one over for a corner. If you remember, he handballed in the box against Hamilton Olympic. And that basically was the difference in the end in the match earlier in the season at Darling Street. And their 1-0 loss. It was a near thing there. Here he is. A free kick extraordinaire, Nathan Morris curling it in, and Evans with the powerful header away. The speed of Ridge Mapu. Curled into the middle, Evans rises, Bazari does likewise. Lambton just apply the pressure now. Evans away, it will fall to Brodie Taylor in space. McBreen, he's got Pat Brown after him from behind, and he's just outrun there by Mapu. And now Pasquale does nicely, and McBreen picks up the scraps. Just doesn't stop running, does he? The 40-year-old, the Peter Pan of maybe even Australian football, Newcastle football at least.
The one thing with Daniel McBreen, he's always been a very fit character. He's always been generally naturally fit, so no matter what age he is, And the other thing is, he's a competitor. He goes to the end.
Is there another grand final goal for McBreen? He's just walking at the moment, getting his breath back. Griffiths and Bryce just lunged in a little. Griffiths turned him. It's been quiet tonight, Griffiths, but all it'll take is one moment for Ryan Griffiths to strike a blow which could sink the Eagles.
you know what? It's all about no mistakes. Final 5-6 minutes, no mistakes from either defence or either side. It's about playing the simple things. You don't want to lose a grand final in the final few minutes. You want to at least take it extra time.
Well, here's a thought for Lambton. If you go into extra time, you don't have any subs. Do you throw caution into the wind a little bit and just go out and out the last 5, 6, 7, whatever it's going to be, and try and snag one, thinking this second more part of the game, the extra time is going to be very, very tough.
Here's Corley. So no changes for Edgeworth. It's an interesting question, CT. Morris dives in and dispossesses Holtz, who is quickly on his bike to try and win the ball back. But Lambton have got it. Remington. Just inside Edgeworth territory. Back to Verity. And Griffiths. Verity again. Nice close control from Verity. He's had 3 Eagles coming towards him. Mapu. And his ball control lets him down in the corner of the ground.
Better play by Lambton. Good forward run by Mapu. Got Dylan Holt stretching on the sideline. I think guys will start to cramp up on this big pitch. They're not used to it, especially, you know, if it does go to extra time. The advantage for Edgeworth, I think that for me, they're probably a little bit fitter. They played 120 minutes. We're probably doing good last week, but also they've got 2 spare men on the for substitutions.
It's been a special season, and this grand final, while it may have lacked goals, the intensity has been up there with the best of them. Now, you two have stood on the sideline of some grand finals over the years. Is this the most high-quality grand final in northern New South Wales that you've watched? Or are we taking a step too far there?
You know what? They're all different, but obviously the grand finals I'll be in, especially the ones we won, obviously I'm going to say it's high quality because... but, yeah, you know what? I don't know. It's a tough one.
Difficult to judge.
Very difficult to judge. However, I think the intent on both coaches, the effort of the 22 plays plus substitutions has been superb. There's been no goals. You know, the neutral supporters, they like to see goals, but...
It's been a contest. There they are, nervous on the Eagles bench.
We talk about last week's game, Magic versus... Oh, great ball.
Here he is, Adam Corley, in a swan cut. Shoulder to shoulder with Corley. It looks spectacular. But they both get up, and they're okay in the end.
And again, Swancott sweeping around the back. He does it superbly. He's been a standout tonight as well, hasn't he, Swancott?
Yeah, I think that he's kept them in the game, that's for sure. There's been a couple of really crucial saves that he's made.
And he hasn't made an error. That's the thing with keepers. It's like...
And now Pat Brown goes cartwheeling over the top of Brodie Taylor.
And that's one thing. You look at the 2 keepers. Nate Cavalieri, he hasn't had too much to do. He's done a few little things in the first half, where Swancott has had probably a little bit more to do than Cavalieri. But in saying that, Lambton's done really well tonight.
No one has left McDonald Jones Stadium. Is there a late winner? McNaughton brings it down. It's going to be a tough 30 minutes for Lambton if we go into extra time. They'll really want to score here. Nice turn from Mapu. Squares it up. And Corley away with the ball. Sanders, look at that. Chests it down. McBreen sees the run of Taylor.
Sessions, he's been rock solid, hasn't he? Need to be careful here, Lambton.
McBreen gets clipped. Less than 2 to go in regulation time in the 2017 NPL Northern New South Wales finale. McBreen tries to slip it through. Taylor was coming. Verity, well, I think he gave Verity a little bit of a push in the back there, Brodie Taylor. And that is why the free kick will go the way of Lambton. Maybe a little harsh on him in the end, going off the replay. Morris backtracks. And now Holtz. Kantarowski just at the moment, if the match was to end now, regardless of who won, Michael Kantarowski is difficult to go past. Here he is again. McNaughton for Edgeworth. Well, you're probably looking at the man at the back. Evans, here he is. Header away. And again, he's down, Josh Evans here.
He just whacked the ground. I think he's in trouble.
Yeah, he is. He is in a lot of trouble here, Josh Evans. Now, he's been down a couple of times tonight, a head clash, and just knocked knees earlier, but this time he is squirming about, Josh Evans.
You watch him hit the ground. When he hits the ground, he gets really...
Here it is. It was Pat Brown. He got a little clip on the ankle from Pat Brown on his way through.
May have been a foot onto his ankle.
And how big would this be? So on the bench, Edgeworth have got Moriyasu, Bauer, McLaughlin. Now McLaughlin is under a heavy, heavy injury cloud. He's running up and down the sideline, Aaron McLaughlin. So if McLaughlin is 100% fit, you probably, if you're going to make a change, Evans comes off and you push Bazari into the centre and bring McLaughlin on the left side, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I think McLaughlin, he'll be close to 100% fit. Zane wouldn't have him on the bench if he couldn't use him.
Otherwise, you would have gone for Sam Maxwell, wouldn't have he?
Exactly. You want fit players on the bench. Even though McLaughlin's played all season, he was tremendous last week against Magic. This is a grand final, and it's all about the result. You need players you can use on the bench.
Well, what a sad ending this would be for Josh Evans. I think he's gone here. So if Lambton have lost their maestro in the midfield, Joe Wheelhouse, Edgeworth have lost their unstoppable, outstanding defender at the back. Super in the air.
Now he'll try come back on, knowing Josh Evans.
The question is, if he's not 100%, is it worth him coming back on?
I think so. He wouldn't let the team down, Josh Evans, if he knows he's not 100% and can't make a challenge.
So now it's Edgeworth who are down to 10 and Lambton with the free kick now. Four minutes of added time. Just with that injury, Glenn Peter can put up the board. And Mapu scythes through a gap bridge, Mapu. Brodie Taylor was there. Just under a little bit of pressure for the moment, Edgeworth. So Josh Evans, he's gone back out on the left edge. Look at him go, Josh Evans, testing out that ankle.
Yeah, he's fine. Look at him.
Got a quick recovery, hasn't he? Just goes down to grab the ankle off screen. Sanders bounces up and over his head. Liam Odell turns.
Just on the back three for Lambton, they've been superb today. Odell, Sessions and Kantarowski when he was there. Now Morris.
Over the top of Evans, that'll test him out. And Cavalieri, slow to come out, but there wasn't the pressure from Ridge Mapu that James Pascoe probably would have liked to see. Pasquale, the distributor in the middle of the park. Sanders, just his first touch for once let him down. It never usually lets Kieran Sanders down. On that occasion, maybe a little fatigued. McNaughton.
I think I'd still like to see Zane push McBroom up with Sanders. Their partnership this year has been severe. I know they've been swapping in and out, but just push them up because they create things. They just bounce off each other.
Griffiths to Remington. So just over a minute left of stoppage time. Sanders. Up the line he goes for Brodie Taylor. Sessions plays it back for Swancott.
Sessions' second half of the season has been outstanding, hasn't it, CT?
Yeah, look, he's been good for a lot of years, to be honest, and he's just a solid player. A really, really strong defender.
Hayden Bryce now. To Sanders. And the free kick goes his way. I'm just wondering whether there's going to be a little bit added for that injury to Evans. He's down on his haunches, Josh Evans, back on halfway. So maybe just not quite.
The delivery of this ball's got to be far enough away from Swancott, who we know will come off his line. Close enough for get a header on it, have some left to right swing.
Here it is, Bazari. Sanders Attempts the flick on. Verity away. And now Pat Brown. He's on his way. And Stephen Laurie will send us into extra time in the 2017 NPL Northern New South Wales Grand Final. 90 minutes of high-intensity football. Limited chances. And both these two sides will have to go at it again for a final 30 minutes. Full time here at McDonald Jones Stadium. Edgeworth Eagles 0, Lambton Jaffas 0. Well, boys, here we go. Strap yourselves in for a final half an hour of football. It is the final half an hour of football of the season now, we know for sure.
Both teams have nullified themselves out through this game, and you know what? Credit to James Pascoe here with the lineup that he's come out with. Smudge, you mentioned it earlier before. What most people would have expected that the teams of Edgeworth would have come through and dominated. They haven't done that. So on this occasion, we've ended up 0-0 at regular time into extra time, Smudge.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Pascoe did wonders with his shape and formation, actually, bringing Ken Orosky into the back three. He was absolutely superb today. Joe Wheelhouse was also excellent. Played for 70 or so minutes. Now, obviously, Morris has come in. Ken Orosky's come into the centre of the park. The thing is with Lambton, I'll talk about Edgeworth in a second. The thing is with Lambton, they've already made their 3 subs. They started to look tired towards the back end of the game. Even though they did push forward to get back, when Edgeworth were transitioned, they were slow to get back. And space started to create, didn't it, CT? But for Edgeworth, you know what? They've got 2 fresh subs up their sleeve. I wouldn't be surprised if Zane starts to bring them on nice and early in the second half, push them out there for 30 minutes, try and create some one-on-ones. I still like to see McBroom up with Sanders. You know that combination's been absolutely brilliant all year. And get players like Brodie Taylor, Dylan Holtz, now Adam Crawley running from deep in beyond, especially at Morris, Odell and Sessions at the back, because they're starting to get tired.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you know what? If you've got players that they're going to be tired, let's face it, Lambton's going to be tired, and you're bringing on fresh legs with half an hour to go that Edgeworth have got the capacity to do, then it's a bit of a daunting task, and you've got to face that mentally as a player. You just know there's no more changes. You're out there, and you've got to give it everything you've got. So look, this is going to be absolutely special for the next half an hour, 15 minutes each way. I just had a quick question from one of our viewers, Trevor Owen, asking Smudge, who won the 20s game, please?
Yeah, the 20s game was an absolutely brilliant game between the premiers, Hamilton and Olympic, who won the comp by 14 points against Maitland, who came in third. Maitland prevailed in the end, 1-0. It was a stoic effort, wasn't it? It was a defensive. They defended extremely well against the Hamilton side, who were just probably a little bit off their game. CT.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that Maitland, for the quick summary of that, played a diamond 4 in the middle of the park, and they played that game out. Gavin Wolfe, their coach, played that one out to a T, and it really worked for them. But back to the main game here, we've got Lambton Jaffas, no more substitutions available. They've got some heavy legs out there, we know. Edgeworth Eagles, 2 substitutions ready to go. It's a game of chess for the coaches on how they go and put their teams out there. But you'd have to be thinking Edgeworth to be taking a bit more confidence into extra time, Smudge. Yeah,
I tend to agree. So if you're Lambton, do you push numbers forward? You're probably a little bit more tired than Edgeworth. Edgeworth's 120 minutes last week, I think, will benefit them in the end. They're a very fit and mobile side. So you have to be careful. It's all about mistake-free football, isn't it, CT, in those final 30 minutes, especially of extra time. You'd rather go to penalties than lose in extra time. So I think defence is the key. I said at the start of the game, that Edgeworth's defence will get them over the line. I still think it's the case.
So here we go. This is funny, isn't it? The assistant referees have to check the nets again before we get underway, just to make sure they're standing tall and strong. And Stephen Laurie, he might get some overtime pay tonight. We're into extra time. And Daniel McBreen, he's been at the heart of everything Edgeworth have done tonight. Quickly across to Bazari, and they break early in extra time. Odell slides it over the sideline. CT, can you see a goal in this match? It's been so tight. Can you see a winner or goals? Bazari straight to Swancott.
What I will say about this game now, Bart, is you look at the first 30 minutes and now look at this 30 minutes. First 30 minutes, everyone's got lots of energy, lots of effort to make that little lunge, that 1% different. Now, the tide, holes open up, and there's going to be gaps. Can I see it? Yes. There could be goals in this period, of course, but it's more likely now than what it would have been in that first 30.
So no Joe Wheelhouse. Remember the stat from earlier tonight. They win 73% of the time with Jobe, and without him, 43% of the time. And this season, with Jobe against Edgeworth, 4-1, the overall score. Without Jobe, they've lost 5-0. Haven't conceded yet without him tonight. Here is McBrain dispossessing Remington. Now Bryce. Spies Corley at the back post, and Adam Corley, he just slipped over. Well, had he got there, it could have been interesting for Lambton.
Boys, just talking to Gary Fisher, and there was over 4,000 people. I think it was 4,400 and something people here tonight, which is a great effort. The first time I've been at McDonald's Jones Stadium.
Now, is that the overall crowd of people that have come in throughout the day? This one over the top.
You would expect so, because the number that was read out last week in the second division grand final was the course of the day. So I would expect that that's the case, not necessarily at this minute.
And Gary Fisher also said, if there is pens, I'll be on the southern end of the stand.
There you go, the southern end. So to the right-hand side of screen, not this end that Ridge Marpu is currently running towards, and his Jaffas teammates. Here's Remington. Across the face, Aidan Bryce. The heart of a lion. That long stride. He played rugby league until he was in under-12s and has been a mainstay of Edgeworth over their 3 seasons of dominance under Damien Zane. McBrain threads it through. Corley! Just couldn't quite angle his shot around Swancott. He took the touch and couldn't curve it.
Full, yeah, you guys.
Oh, I was going to say experience here from Swancott. And I think that's what you're going to say there, Smudge, where a lot of keepers might have just got a touch in and he drops and it's a penalty. What a big moment there for Lambton Jaffas.
I'd like to give a big shout out to my old good mate and former teammate Andy Roberts. He's sitting at home with his lovely wife Alison and his wee Jimmy dog, or wee Jimmy, sorry.
What? You want to rephrase that? Go again.
Your little Scottish Terrier. He's a little legend.
It's getting
getting a bit late. It's been a long day. But anyway, this is where you need to play like Andy Roberts. No petrol. You go to the tanks finished.
Here's Ryan Griffiths. Wonder how much petrol is left in his tank. He's going to have to play at 120. Sure, he's fit. He came to Lambton halfway through the season after he was a late signing for the Wanderers for their Asian Champions League campaign. Marpu still going. They just hung off him. And here's McBrain. Wonder how many kilometres he's run tonight. And he just launches one for Brodie Taylor to get on the end of. And Michael Sessions is just able to chip it over the sideline. That's all he can do. There's some tired bodies out there now. And Edgeworth have still got 2 changes left. Kieran Sanders, grand final heartbreak for him last year. Griffiths. Now he just launches one long. So a couple of long balls from each side now. You can sense that the fatigue is creeping in.
Yeah, there's getting less mobility off the ball, isn't there? That's when the long balls start to come in.
Here's Holtz. Just opened up in front of him. Brodie Taylor. Men in the middle. He's got Pasquale. He's got Corley, sorry, I should say, making the run. There's Pasquale on Griffiths. Wheeler.
Lambton sitting a little bit deep here, giving Edgeworth a bit of space. They're inviting Edgeworth on.
Evans now to McBrain. Lays it off for Sanders. Morris awake to the danger. that strapping on that left knee, Nathan Morris. Here's Brown. The strapping on the elbow.
But your prediction in the live show last night was for Nate Cavalier to save a penalty, was one of your predictions. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the course of this game and if it does go to penalty shootouts.
Hayden Bryce slaloms his way down the ground. Yeah, it will be very interesting, Smudge. Sessions this time. Sanders almost got the better of him. And it's Pat Brown.
They're looking tired, Lambton. They're starting to walk. It's been a long game on the big pitch.
Corley.
Just
now
like our mate
McBrain. He's having a walk as well.
And our mate CT's having to sit down now, so he's getting a bit tired as well.
CT's fatigued.
It's extra time, boys.
Do you get extra pay, CT?
Yeah, triple time at the moment.
Yep, sounds good.
3 times 0 is?
0.
Here's Wheeler. Now to Bazari. And it looks a little heavy, the chest down.
I spoke about Bryce and Bazaar in the main 90 minutes. For me, they didn't get high and wide enough and quick enough. They didn't try and penetrate and get around, and that's what Edgeworth do very, very well. It'd be good to see them do it in extra time, but in saying that, there'd be tired legs out there. It'd be tough on this big pitch.
So 97 minutes gone now. McBrain scored in the 96th last week for Edgeworth. I doubt he'll be running the length of the field if he scores tonight. maybe, just maybe that adrenaline will be pumping through the veins.
Oh, he'll be, if he scores tonight, especially towards the end, the adrenaline will pick him up for sure.
A reminder that Matilda's match on the 19th of September. Get your tickets online. And they take on Brazil. Already plenty sold. So looking forward to have a big crowd here in for that one. Aren't they going well? Kantarovski. In comes Remington. Across the face. Evans away with the header. Now Verity. Dispossessed by Taylor. And Sessions was awake to the danger. Corley. Here is Evans. Hasn't charged forward as much as he did last week, but that's a lovely ball to Kieran Sanders. He lays it off for Corley and maybe just lifted his head a touch and sprays it wide. Not clinical there from Adam Corley. There it is from Sanders into Corley, who just couldn't keep it down.
Just on that was so well defended by Nathan Morris. He didn't dive in, he just held his ground, backed off a little bit and forced Corley to go wide.
Will Bauer, what a moment for him. He scored the winner for Edgeworth against Maitland back in round 16. He was an unused substitute last weekend. Scored his first NPL goal against the Rosebuds in round 14. So scored on 3 occasions this year, Will Bauer. The most important was that winner against Maitland. You can see him charging forward. He's from Maitland. And Maitland with a spine-tingling win in the 20s against Hamilton. Josh Evans skating past Kantarovski. He curls it in. Sessions with the header. Big moment for Evans. He got in front of Verity. And then his touch just let him down.
We said earlier, we'd like to see Josh Evans come and play into the middle of the park. Just move forward a little bit. Create the overload because he's such calm. He's like a Ned Zilic, isn't he, CT?
Yeah, and we've seen him do that before, but, you know, it's so good to see him at this part of the game, especially he's been down a few times tonight with injury.
I tell you what, we were saying Kantarovski, sports flick man of the match, leaning towards him at the end of 90. Well, at the moment, maybe even going towards the Josh Evans end of the spectrum now.
Or even Sessions for me at the back. He's been superb.
Sessions has been
good.
He
has been superb.
Sessions' energy, he's just still going. You know, the strength of the man. He's just willing his team along. He's just such a competitor. He's a warrior.
For a tall man, he is so quick. He's in his 6th year at the Lambton Jaffas. He was sent off, actually, against the Eagles in round 2. It's always been a bit of an issue in his game, but ever since then, this season, Cavalieri, it slipped through his fingers. Can you believe it?
No, he's been so solid all year. He hasn't dropped anything, and that's the first one.
And I tell you what, if you're Lambton, are you just looping a few more long balls in there? He'll be nervous after that, Nate Cavalieri.
I haven't seen him make a mistake all year. He's been absolutely superb. He just probably took his eyes off it just a little bit. Just took it too casually.
Against his former club, they've only conceded 14 in the regular season this year, Edgeworth. Outstanding. The best defence since 2003 in the top grade in Northern. And Cavalieri was a big part of that. Although against Lambton, they conceded 4 of those 14, Edgeworth.
Sometimes Cavalieri hasn't had too much to do, hasn't he? He hasn't had too many touches on the ball. And for a goalkeeper...
Griffiths with the flick on. And there, Bazzari. Could he have let that run onto Cavalieri? They just seem a little nervous now at the back, Edgeworth.
Go the safe option. At this stage of the game, you go the safe option. That's what Bazzari did.
Yeah, I think I know what you were going to say there, Smudge, with keepers, because if you haven't had much to do for a long period of the game, and let's face it, now we're 101, 102 minutes in, it's a long time to stay completely focused. So, you know, this can happen, but yeah, big surprise for it on this occasion.
Pasquale sees the speed of Will Bauer, and look at him speeding down the ground.
Yeah, I like the look of Will Bauer. I've mentioned it a few times throughout the course of the season. Like you said, he scored the winner up at Maitland for Edgeworth, and Damien Zane said that win there probably got him the premiership.
Wasn't much in the end between them and Hamilton Olympic in the wash-up. Just 3 points separating Edgeworth and Olympic. Interestingly, less than what it was last season between Olympic and Edgeworth, and there was a lot more talk about the race last year. Here's McBrain over the top. Bauer in between the lines. Does he get a little tug? He doesn't. And Steve Laurie is not afraid of giving away penalties in big moments. He gave away a penalty in the 97th minute in the Foxtel National Youth League Grand Final last year. And Braden Crowley, former Jet, finished it for Melbourne City to win the title.
There was Bauer showing his pace. He's elusive.
He is curling it in. McBrain at the back post. Morris away for the moment. Remington into a little bit of a tight situation. And Corley's good enough to intercept. Bauer. So fresh, Will Bauer. The pocket rocket.
Sessions again. His positional play has been outstanding.
Pat Brown. Now to Mapu. Open pastures ahead of him. He takes on Aiden Bryce and he beats him for pace, but he has no one in the middle. Ridge Mapu. Ryan Griffiths is arriving for Lambton. Here he is. Griffiths looking for Mapu. No one with Mapu there. But didn't he burn past Aiden Bryce with ease?
And I think Josh Evans did well, like foul on McBrain. Josh Evans did well not to foul Ridge Mapu because he ran across his path, so it could have easily been a penalty. Josh Evans did very well then.
There's the turn from the slight Adam Corley. Small frame. He has a big impact though. Sanders now to Aiden Bryce. Now to Bazzari. Now on the turn, Holtz. He goes to Bazzari.
So compact.
Over the sideline. I'll rephrase what I just said about Stephen Laurie here. So, Melbourne City against Sydney FC. It was 3-2 in the National Youth League final. 90 plus 11th minute, he blew the penalty to which Braden Crowley scored. The 11th minute of stoppage time.
Was that for the winner?
That was for the winner. There's some guts in that decision, isn't there, as a referee? There's McBrain now to Bryce. And Verity does well. So 1 minute of stoppage time. And the cramps are being stretched out. Looks to be Dylan Holtz over on that far side, just off shot at the moment. And Will Bauer is taking over the corner duties from Bazari, who's sitting back a little deeper now. And we are going to go into the second half of extra time, deadlocked. Still 0-0. It's the never-ending grand final, this one. No goals still. Edgeworth and Lambton, again, limited chances. But Lambton, you'd probably say, with the best of them, with Ridge Mapu blazing down the centre of the park, and Nate Cavalieri making an uncharacteristic error. Half-time in extra time. It's Edgeworth Eagles 0, Lambton Jaffas 0 this evening here on Bar TV Sports. What a game. What a game. That's all I can say. What a way to finish the season.
There's a lot of players to admire out here, but boys, one of them that I am at the moment is Daniel McBreen. We've joked, especially you, Smudge, about his age, but now we have going to the second period of extra time, and this guy is just keeping on going. It won't surprise me to see him get the final blow here and call it a night for all. He's just got that in his game. I'm just admiring at his age that he's still doing what he's doing at this point in the game.
And on the flip side, Ryan Griffiths for Lambton as well. He's been tremendous as well. So
sure.
Now the other thing is what I just want to point out. I think what's a real key here is Will Bauer coming in for Edgeworth. He's very elusive. He's very quick. Lambton are tired. So are Edgeworth tired as well. But he's had a few touches. He's looking elusive. He's looking dangerous. I think for Lambton they need to be, play it simple. Make sure their defence is rock solid. And they'll get one or two chances in the second half of extra time. But I think they need to be rock solid at the back.
We spoke about whether there were going to be chances before. There were chances. We'll see some more here.
Here we go. The final 15 minutes of football in the NPL Northern New South Wales for 2017 is underway. No goals in 105 minutes of football. We are going the distance. 2 hours to see if we can find a winner, and then it will be a penalty shootout. And for Edgeworth, it'll be their second in a week. And after 4 years without penalties in finals matches in the NPL Northern New South Wales, we may have 2 in a week. We won't speak too soon as Bazari, well, probably in the end, unlucky not to win a free kick there. I don't know what you two thought. It was right in front of us up here in the Western Grandstand.
Kantarowski, that's quality. And great ball from Ridge Mapu.
Now Aiden Bryce this time gets his body in front of Mapu. Now Pat Wheeler, this is important here. And he does keep it inside the line.
Just on Lambton, looks like they've changed their shape a little bit. I didn't notice in the latter part of the game, but they're going 4 at the back, it looks like. We very move them into left fullback. Sessions and, Morris in the centre with Lumo Day just on the right side of back, right back.
Sanders with the flick over the top. And Sessions again.
I think I think that's a smart move by Pascoe because they were tiring, so he probably just wants to lock them 4 at the back and keep them 4 at the back so they can't get exposed, especially while they're getting tired.
Sanders, and a free kick goes against Kieran Sanders for the handball. Just a little frustrated there, it seemed, Kieran Sanders. And here are the Eagles with their final substitution. Diego Moriyasu. And he's going to come on the ground for Dylan Holtz. So an attacking move for the Eagles. He's run his heart out tonight again, Dylan Holtz.
He's had a superb season, hasn't he, boys? Dylan Holtz is one of those players that you love to have in your side because he gives 100%. He's a box-to-box player. He scores goals, and he's had another tremendous game today.
Damien Zane shakes his hand. Bazari. So the 11 on the pitch now will be there until the end.
And just on Moriyasu, he's a penalty taker as well. So smart move by Zane, maybe looking ahead as well.
Yeah, not only that though, he's a very attacking player and he's light on his feet. At this point of the game, he's going to be extremely dangerous.
the throw from Verity. Nodded on by Kantarowski. Almost fell for Brown. Griffiths raised his head in anguish. It just went a couple of metres behind him.
That's where you need a player coming in from the back stick. They had all runners going forward. Just need that one lingering at the back. Wait for that drop down.
McNaughton. Now Pasquale. So at the moment, boys, Harry Snitzel play of the day. Who are we leaning towards? And man of the match at the moment. We've got a short list for man of the match as free kick goes the way of Lambton. So we've got a short list. We've got Josh Evans, Michael Kantarowski, and Michael Sessions.
Boys, I like the look of Josh Evans. I know we've spoken about Kantarowski. He's one that's been for me, but Evans, gee, he's just kept going and going, and a captain's knock, and I think
I just love the way he's bounced back continually from injury.
Well, Smudge said he needed to get into the game forward, and he's done that.
Here's Morris curling it in. It falls for Mapu, and Ridge Mapu has broken the deadlock. Advantage Lambton in the grand final. His first goal of 2017 comes in the most important match of 2017. 1-0 Lambton.
In the ball comes, headers, ball pops out just enough for Mapu to get a boot on and a clean strike away, Smudge.
Yeah, when the ball bounced out, it looks like it hit Pasquale on the hand, which sort of popped out to Ridge Mapu, which he finished into an open net. Great finish, great goal by Lambton. It's going to be a very interesting 10 or so minutes to go.
Well, they're going to have to go for it here, Edgeworth. Ryan Griffiths and Luke Remington taking their time. He said he had an outstanding 2016. He probably hasn't lived up to the expectations he set last year in 2017. But that's a goal he'll remember forever, Ridge Mapu. McBreen trying to find Moriyasu.
And boys, you can see Damien Zane for the first time in the match stand in his box.
Noticed that before.
Will Bauer now on the turn into the box. You sense they'll create something here. The champions won't go down without a fight. Corley to Bazari. And here is Bazari into McNaughton. Just when you thought we were heading to penalties, Ridge Mapu cleans up the scraps. And Lambton are on their way, potentially, to grand final glory for the second time in 4 seasons.
We should talk about Sports Click man of the match. I think if Lambton do get up, I think Michael Kantarowski or Michael Sessions deserve
I'm going
it.
Sessions for if Lambton get up. Here's McBreen just nodding it down. Pat Brown, it just ricochets off his knee, falls awkwardly.
That's not good.
Yeah, that is not good at all. This is a big moment because if Pat Brown can't continue, they're going to have to play with 10 here, Lambton. Gets back up, Pat Brown.
He probably felt like something popped in there, like that initial thought, but then he seems all right. He's putting weight through it.
Pasquale to Bauer. Kantarowski. We sense this is going to go one of 2 ways. Lambton are going to get a second, or Edgeworth are going to equalise. Evans.
This is where Evans again needs to inject himself, come into this middle of the park, ACT, get that overload.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to really they've got to go. I mean, what are we looking at? We're final minutes of the game.
Will Bauer just out-muscled by Liam Odell. The two are going to have a little chat. 8, just over 8 minutes to go. Swancott. Looks long. There's Wheeler. Moriyasu with the nod on. McBreen puts on the afterburners, but Michael Sessions, he's mighty at the back.
He's been superb. However, the ball didn't go out. Still in.
Sanders goes across the ground to Riley McNaughton. He looks up. He sees Mapu. He has had a huge impact on the game since he's come on, Ridge Mapu, hasn't he?
And you know what? Pasco's, like we've seen him play on that wing-back right. He's put him up front due to a few injuries and a few changes in personnel, and he's caused been a menace, hasn't he?
So much pace and so low to the ground. He's got all that control. Here is Aiden Bryce now. Opens up for him. Bryce curls it in. McBreen rises. He can't keep the header down, Daniel McBreen. There was the moment for the champion striker.
And let's see this ball be whipped in, and McBreen, look at the timing of his run. It's just spot on. He just can't get over it enough to keep it down.
But was that Odell jumping in front of him? Just books him off a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, he has to jump above and beyond him and then get high enough to get down. And, you know, we spoke about his legs. He's still powering to get off the ground like he did amazing.
Wheeler and Brown going toe-to-toe. Now Kantarowski, now Sanders. Over the top. McBreen and Moriyasu were there. But so is Riley McNaughton and Lambton. Bazari straight to Pat Brown, who chips it forward for Mapu. He's had a massive influence on this grand final, Ridge Mapu. Pat Brown says, play it to me. Ridge Mapu will just take it towards the corner. Pat Brown, he put the nail in Hamilton's coffin last weekend. Is he going to be the death knell for Edgeworth as well? Mapu back to the corner again. Pascoe stalking the technical area once more. And Corley clears it. And almost fell into the path of Moriyasu off the head of Morris. And here is Pat Brown. Is he going to put the nail in Edgeworth's coffin? 2 weeks in a row, Pat Brown does put the nail in the coffin. And that may be the championship for the Jaffas now. Off the bench and onto the score sheet for Pat Brown again.
Well, let's watch this one come in. He's timed his run perfectly. Great touch. Pulled it out left and just slotted it with a great left footer. Boys, what a huge moment for the Lambton Jaffas.
Oh, exactly. They've come in as underdogs, and what a great... You know what? That ball from Remington was perfect, but the run from Pat Brown, hold his run, running beyond the back four was absolutely superb. And the game's not over yet, but it's going to be hard for Edgeworth now, boys.
You have to say, when it went into extra time, Edgeworth had got extra men available to come off the bench. Lambton looked out, and now two goals in the extra period. You wouldn't pick it.
Oh, 100% agree. I wouldn't have picked it. I thought Edgeworth would have overran. Now they're pushing big numbers forward.
Here's Bazari. Well, the only thing I can find close to this if Edgeworth were to fight back was Brisbane Roar in that grand final, where they fought back from 2-0 down in extra time against the Mariners. Daniel McBreen was on the receiving end that night. But you sense there's not enough time for Edgeworth here. There was a little more time for Brisbane. Remington. It was a game that deserved goals, and goals we have received. Here is Sanders on the turn. Kieran Sanders. McBreen, does he size it up? He goes wide to Will Bauer. Bauer into the middle, and the two Edgeworth players have come together. It was Bryce and it was Adam Corley. Got in each other's way, and that's pressure for you. That's what it can do. Ryan Griffiths now, Pat Brown. Are they going to make it 3-0 here, Edgeworth? I should say Lambton, as Pat Brown had Michael Kantarowski way over on the right. Moriyasu nods it forward. McBreen looked to size it up. Wide to Bauer again. And Bauer now curls it towards Bryce. It's overhit. And this season, compared to the last 2 seasons for Edgeworth, I feel sides defensively against Edgeworth have set up better, as we've seen Lambton tonight. And in the front third, they haven't scored as many goals. And this is evident tonight, isn't it? It was always the thing Damien Zane was saying earlier, saying just this year we haven't quite been as clinical. And tonight I'd have to say that.
And you know, part of that, for me, I still would have played McBreen up with Sanders, because they've been dynamite together all season. One drops in, one drops out, and have your deep runners in Brodie Taylor. I don't know if it worked that well again, like tonight, Brodie with Dylan Sanders, which it has worked like throughout the season when they have played up front. But I think Pascoe's just lined his side up right on, spot on.
Yeah, and look, we're going to talk about Sports Click Man of the match in a moment, but let's just pay a quick tribute here to Brad Swancott and his contribution to the game. Some of the saves that he made during the game at crucial times, you think if Edgeworth goes in front, they're really going to go on with it, and he's kept them in the game at critical times. But, gee, they've had some good players out in the park, both sides. Josh Evans, what a game he's had, boys.
He has had a mighty game, Josh Evans, as has Michael Sessions. And you can't say it on screen, but Daniel McBrain is having a chat to Brad Swancott. The two veterans.
They're good mates. They're
very good mates, aren't they? And Lambton, they have discovered the formula. There's McBrain. Just looks like a general chat with Swancott. But, yeah, 3 times this season in the NPL, Lambton have found the way to beat Edgeworth. Just 3 times this year. Only in the FFA Cup where Edgeworth got on a roll.
Speaking to Swancott's father before the game, he said he's as nervous as he's ever been this afternoon. And what a big day he's had.
He's had some grand final defeats over the years. Brad Swancott.
Just on Nate Cavalieri just then, he just stepped outside his box. He does that regularly. You know, when he goes to kick the ball, he tries to get just outside the box. I know it's not going to matter now, but he just needs to be a little bit careful.
Well, let's not forget the season that Edgeworth have had. It's been outstanding, and you just sense will have a lot more fire in the belly when they play Canberra Olympic in a couple of weeks' time in the NPL final series. Looking forward to that. But it's Lambton's night. It'll be Jaffas' joy in 2017. Stephen Laurie is just a few seconds away from ending this one.
And boys, our Harry Snitzel player of the day, I think, has to go to James Pascoe for his changes in the squad. And I think he's done a superb job today, lining Lambton up for a famous victory.
Here's Will Bauer. He looks long. Verity. And now Sessions. Back he goes to brilliant Brad. And Swancott just picks it up. Because he has been just that.
He has. And Smudge, I agree there with you with Jimmy Pascoe on the play of the day. It's really been a tactical manoeuvre that's worked for Lambton. We've also got to talk about our Sports Click man of the match. Now, we've got 4 minutes here, so let's not write anything completely off because we know how quickly a game can change.
Yeah, for me, Michael Sessions has to be Sports Click man of the match, just ahead of Michael Kantorowski for me.
I'll agree with that one, Smudge. Michael Sessions. He's just so fit, isn't he?
Look, his physical power, and he's just, as I said before, he just kept going all game, hasn't stopped, and he's a real strength for them in their defensive four. And he's coming to the middle of the back. He hasn't let anyone down here.
There is Wheeler, and maybe, just maybe, last week against Magic, where Edgeworth just couldn't quite put them away when they had those chances. It was just an inkling of just the story this season in the grand final. Here's Moriyasu, maybe a last chance for Edgeworth. It won't be, it'll cross the byline. But that's the thing, Edgeworth, another unstoppable season. But yeah, just notice, just not quite as clinical in the front third as they have been.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been the change in shape because the last few weeks they've been playing like a 5-3-2, which they've been absolutely brilliant with that. They've gone with a 4-1-3-2 tonight. But you know what? Credit to Lambton, credit to Pascoe. I thought their defensive shape was rock solid. They've put mobile players on the park. You know, the other thing is Joe Wheelhouse was outstanding for that 70 minutes, wasn't he? He sort of, you know, he wasn't 100%, but he was outstanding and just sort of controlled things in that middle of the park. And
to have someone like Nathan Morris come off the bench knows what it's like in these big matches. In a sense, we're just ticking down now. 2 minutes from Lambton celebrations.
So, boys, Lambton, they proved us both wrong, didn't they? All three of us wrong. Our predictions?
Yeah, absolutely they did because, you know, look, personally I picked two-goal lead by Edgeworth and, you know, gee, they ground this one out, especially when it went into extra time and they didn't have any substitutions left. They looked out.
And another premier is going to go down as Sanders back to Cavalieri. Just one premier wins the championship as it's turned over to Kantorowski to really seal it. It just rose and curled wide off the boot of Kantorowski. 80 seconds now, less than 80 to go.
Yeah, I also picked a 2-goal lead to Edgeworth. However, after talking to Pascoe just before the game, I thought, you know what, it's going to be a lot tighter just due to the positional change. And we spoke about that at the corporate box as well. I thought, you know what, Edgeworth will still get up, but maybe by just a single goal. And it was going to be a lot tighter due to those positional changes and tactical changes Pascoe made. Full credit to him, and that's where he gets our play of the day.
Well, we'll get a chance to speak to him and also our Sports Click man of the match, Michael Sessions, at the end of this game. They'll have some celebrating to do immediately. And Jimmy Pascoe, you can see him on screen. Gee, he's got a big grin there, hasn't he? Absolutely delighted with this result.
We must congratulate Joel Grinnell and Scott McCarter last week for getting him through to the grand final.
So the whistles from the Lambton faithful. Sanders curling it. Bryce just outside goal, and this will be the final play of the grand final, the final play of the NPL Northern New South Wales in 2017, and Stephen Laurie says that will do. The premiership may have gone astray, but the Jaffas have their final say on the biggest day. What a turnaround for Lambton after a dismal 2016. James Pascoe has rebuilt the side, and they reap the rewards in 2017. It's a story of redemption as the Jaffas claim their second championship in 4 seasons. And the Eagles' era of dominance receives a slight blemish, but all great runs have to come to an end, and tonight is that moment. But championship sides always bounce back, and no doubt the Eagles will, and they will get that chance in a couple of weeks' time against Canberra Olympic. Full time in the grand final of 2017. Edgeworth Eagles 0, Lambton Jaffas 2. And we will head down pitch side in just a second with Declan Payne. You two are going to go down and join in, or go and get some interviews with Michael Sessions and James Pascoe as well. We will be here with the presentation as well post-match. But what a game of football we have witnessed. 120 minutes. We're going to head down. Declan Payne is with Job Wheelhouse.
Down on the sideline here with Jaffas captain Job Wheelhouse. And Job, how good's that feel?
Yeah, pretty good. Been here 5 years now, and 3 grand finals and 2 wins. So, you know, the whole squad really had a go this year, and especially on grand final day. We probably, to be fair to them, Edgy were probably the better side in the second half, but during extra time, I thought we really had a go and dug in, and you know, we probably deserved the win in the end.
A couple of issues, pretty loud issues with your ankle through the week. You've got it strapped in ice now. Plenty of time for it to get better in the off season.
Yeah, over a few beers, I'd say it'll be all the more sweeter now. But yeah, look, it hasn't been good, but we do anything for the boys. So, you know, we got stuck in, and in the end, we got the result we wanted.
Bit of a running battle there with Daniel McBreen while you were still on the pitch. Good to get one over him.
Oh yeah, look, he's hard to win balls in the air. He's a physical dude, and you know he's a good fella. So they've had a lot of success. So hats off to them. But Macca will be around next year. So hopefully we see him again.
Thanks, mate. Go enjoy it. Back up to you, boys.
Thanks, Declan. Joe Wheelhouse there, celebrating the grand final victory. He was substituted just after the hour mark, and that's been the most impressive part of this week. Is that, well, the way they dealt with Joe Wheelhouse not being out there for the last hour of the match. Rich Mapu put them ahead, and then finishing it off in extra time was Pat Brown, as he has done so often this season. He scored some big goals for Lambton and chalked that one up as another feather in the bow of feather in the hat, I should say, of Pat Brown. Declan just waiting to grab another Jaffas player for an interview, and then it'll be Damien Smith and Chris Turner. They're just heading down there at the moment, and he is going to they're going to present the Sports Click Man of the Match. And the Harry Snitzel play of the day. Now, just before we head down to Declan, we might head down there in just a sec. Our NPL review show this Thursday, 7 p.m. Declan is almost ready down there. Some of the Jaffas boys. Yeah, 7 p.m. this Thursday, the NPL review show. Should be a lot of fun just to wrap up our season. Declan is down there now. He is there with Jaffas keeper. What a performance from him tonight, Brad Swancott.
Down here with the Jaffas keeper, Brad Swancott. And Brad, how good's that one feel?
Oh, mate, it's amazing. The boys really dug deep. We had a few busted guys out there in the last two quarters of extra time, and brilliant result from everyone. So.
Edgy played 120 minutes last week. Obviously, they went to extra time. Do you think that, maybe they were a bit fatigued and that perhaps give you the edge?
Oh, possibly, but we took our chances and they didn't. That's pretty much what it came down to. Look, they're a good side. They've been a good side for a long time. And, we're just building our squad, and we hopefully stay together next year and can push them on from now. So.
And clean sheet as well against Edgy. Second time you've beat them by 2 this season. I mean, like you said, they're a good team, good competitors. Do you think you can maybe, knock them off the top of the perch next year?
Well, yeah, I think so. We've always been scoring goals every game this year. I think we've scored every game. So if we keep a clean sheet, we're pretty much destined to win a game. So we're going to push forward, have a good celebration tonight, and then get back in just before Christmas and go again.
Awesome. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the win. Back up to you, boys.
Thanks, Declan. Brad Swancott, thanks for him to, or great for him, I should say, to give us his time. And, wow, what a season. So Edgeworth, the triple-double, just goes astray for them. They were looking tonight to be the first side since Western 1971 to 73 to do that. Western, the only side in top flight Northern New South Wales football to do that. That was the incredible thing. And Edgeworth so close, but just couldn't quite get there. Chris Turner has headed down, and he is almost ready with Michael Sessions. The Northern officials just set up the stage for the presentation of Lambton Jaffas for the grand final trophy. The first night grand final in the NPL Northern New South Wales. And great to see it was such a hit with everyone involved here at the ground. And a season to remember for Lambton. Chris Turner is there with Michael Sessions, the Sports Click Man of the Match.
Guys, we're down here on a very, very excited McDonald Jones Stadium with the Lambton Jaffas. We have the privilege to have the man of the match, the Sports Click Man of the Match, Michael Sessions. Sesho, how do you feel?
Words can't really describe at the moment. As you can see, it means a lot to so many of the boys here. Put in a great effort, 120 minutes. We've started our season a long time ago, probably October last year. So it's been a long year, well deserved. So
most people, Sesho, thought that Edgeworth were going to do it again. What was your team's thoughts?
Oh, we knew if we played to our game, we could play against anyone in this comp. We had a few injuries late in our season, and that affected our chances of the minor premiership. We were confident that with good preparation going into the semi-finals, we'd do well. Come from that to here, and like I said, if we played our own game, there's no one we can't beat, and that showed tonight.
We go into extra time. They've got substitutions. You don't. You personally, what were you thinking at that point?
Oh, again, everyone just had to dig deep, not just me. We had a few guys going into the game with injuries, so it was good to get the minutes out of them that we did. But we just knew that all of us just had to dig deep for the whole 120 minutes. We knew it was going to be a big game. We probably knew it was going to go to extra time. And when we went in after the 90, we just told all the boys, play your own game, keep the ball. It's a big pitch, use it well. Something will come. Pasco said to us, Ridge and Brownie will be the crucial ones. And he knows his soccer, I'll tell you. The man's a genius.
We'll get to him in a moment. You personally, look, there are a lot of great players out in the pitch, and I'll give this to Joel Grinnell from Sports Click, Puma. you personally, amongst other players, there were some great ones out there. We've picked you as someone that's just been very, very strong in your game. You've given your back line was tremendous, and you're in the strength of that. So congratulations, our Sports Click Man of the Match, Joel Grinnell. I'll just hand over to you for a moment.
Michael, mate, between you and Liam O'Dell today, you were absolute rocks, and mate, congratulations, man of the match. We'll go and have a good time, yeah?
Thank you very much, bud.
All right, well, we'll find Damien Smith with James Pascoe. We've given him not only our Harry Snitzel Player of the Day, but also Damien wants to catch up with him. Damien Smith.
Thanks, CT. We're here with our Harry Snitzel Play of the Day, winning coach, James Pascoe. Before I get to tell you, there's kisses going galore here. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable feeling when you win a grand final. Mate, I'll explain why you got Player of the Day in a second, but how's your immediate emotions?
Oh, just relief, to be fair. You know, the boys have worked so hard, and, you know, again today we've had to overcome some hiccups through the game in terms of injuries. The 3 substitutions, you know, that were forced on us largely, and you've got to try and move the jigsaw piece puzzles to try and nullify Edgeworth's threats, and I thought we managed to do that pretty well throughout. So,
well, part of the reason why we're giving you Player of the Day, I thought tactically you nailed it today. Going into, we were talking about in the live show last night, I thought, you know, the bigger pitch or the Edgeworth's mobility might get you. However, you made a few changes. You brought Kenrosky in the back, you brought Remington in, put Morris to the bench. I thought you nailed it tactically today, and that's why we're giving you our Player of the Day.
Great. No, thanks, Smudge. I appreciate that. Their decision, it's our job to make decisions. Sometimes they come off, sometimes they don't, and thankfully tonight they did.
Just about a few of your players. Joe Wheelhouse, you know, we're unsure if he was going to start. He plays 70 minutes. He was superb in the centre of the park. He was obviously running around a little bit gingerly at times, but he was absolutely superb.
He's a different level player, Job, and you know, our plan today was to do a fitness test about 11 o'clock, and about an hour beforehand he just sent me a message and said, look, he said, I'm just worried that if I do that it's going to stiffen up on me this afternoon. He said, let's just go for it in the warm-up and we'll see. And as I've said all the way along, you know, I trust Job to make the right decision for himself and for the boys. For him to go out there and do that on one leg is just massive. So, yeah, he's a special boy.
I thought also there's a few other tactical changes when you brought Morris on for Job and moved Kendros in the middle of the park. When you brought Rich Marpil on up front, which we haven't seen him up front, and his pace sort of started to scare Edgeworth defence.
Look, I've had it up my sleeve for about the last 3 weeks. I've said to the coaching staff he's going to score the winner in the grand final. It didn't turn out to be the winner, but it was for a short period. No, I've always felt that if he can get on the shoulder of the last man and we can find a decent quality ball in behind, no one catches Ridge. And it was his pressure that sort of led to a little bit of panic in their defence at times there at the back end. So that was good. Yeah, look, when we brought Moz on, we changed our shape. We went to a 4-4-2 diamond, which I flagged with the boys before the game. My gut feel was that Edgeworth would set up as they did against us in the FFA Cup, which is what they did. And I wanted to go out there initially and play our own game, and I was happy with how the start of the game panned out. I thought we controlled the tempo quite well, but I just basically said to the boys, if they get on top in the central areas, we're going to have to tweak it a little bit. So we brought our central guy out from the back 3 into midfield and just went with the diamond, and yeah, it worked well.
And just really quickly, the other thing is, I said yesterday that defence wins comps and defence wins grand finals, and that's why I tipped Edgeworth. But your defence tonight was absolutely brilliant. Sessions, O'Day, Kanarowski at the back, and Sessions got our Sports Click Man of the Match.
Yeah, look, well deserved too. They've been good all year. We've floated between a back 5 and a back 4. We're always confident that we can keep clean sheets. We've given away some ugly goals this year. We've had some bad luck as well, which all teams have, but we have conceded some ugly goals, and just nice tonight that they're able to keep their sheet clean.
Jimmy Pascoe, you're our last Harry Snitzel Play of the Day, and congratulations. You go and enjoy the night, and mate, you did very well today. Well done, buddy. Well done, mate. I'll hand you over to Ben Homer.
All right, well, Mitch Hughes, who's doing the presentation, we're going to have a little chat through it while he's announcing the names. So we're going to take the presentation, and we will wrap it up just after the presentation, after Lambton receive the trophy.
Mr. Walker will now present their grand final medals. Referees, Stephen Lorry. Assistant referees, Ryan Gallagher and James Quiggle. And our fourth official, Glenn Whittaker. Well done, and thank you to all referees and assistant referees who officiated throughout season 2017. Okay, the DG Williams Medal recognises the player of the grand final who is selected by Northern New South Wales Football's Technical Director Michael Brown. The DG Williams Medal is one of Northern New South Wales Football's most prestigious awards. The winner of this year's DG Williams Medal is Luke Remington. Politely declined to talk. All right, it's time to recognise tonight's grand finalists. Edgeworth MC, please welcome the club's captain Josh Evans to say a few words on behalf of his club.
Well, just like to thank Lambton for putting on a great game. Did a great performance. You should be proud. Well done. To our boys, we gave it a good crack. Our run had come to an end eventually, but very proud of the guys, and great to play for Edgeworth. Finally, thanks to the crowd. Great spectacle, great to hear everyone cheering on their team, and
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Edgeworth FC boys to the stage to receive their grand final medals. Last but not least, it's time to celebrate and acknowledge this season's PS4 NPL Northern New South Wales Grand Final winners, the Lambton Jaffas. Please welcome Captain Joe Wheelhouse to receive his medal and introduce the team. Or not. Michael Sessions to please welcome the team. That's the headline for tomorrow. Joe Wheelhouse injured again.
First of all, Joe should be up here, but as a everyone can see you can't really get off that chair at the moment. Edgeworth, thank you for a great game. You guys have had a great season. You did better to the FA Cup. You go on to do great things, so well done to you guys. All the fans that come out here tonight, hope you've enjoyed the show. All the sponsors from both Edgeworth and of course Lambton Jaffas. We had all the use, we couldn't do what we do for you, so thank you very much. To all the boys, it's been a very long season. James Pasco made a start very early last year and no one enjoyed that. It's all worthwhile now. So thanks again for coming out tonight, guys, and yeah, well done to us. Let's go and celebrate. That is St. Mary. Ryan Griffiths, Joel Griffiths, Liam O'Donnell, Ridge Mapu, Pat Brown, Nathan Morris, Reese Tippett, Michael Kanarowski, Ben Hay, Riley McGordon, Marshy, Benny Boyd, come up, Brad Swancock, Luke Remington, Dane, BJ. I see you there, Tommy Ward, but you might as well come up to you, go middle. Pascal. Joe Williams, everybody. Johnson Young. John Grinnell. Yergs, come on up. Sit down at any table. All you guys over there, thank you for everything.
So, boys, there you have it, an epic grand final won by the Lambton Jaffas, celebrating with their supporters behind us. Smudge, just a review of the season, really. Just sum it up in probably about 30 seconds.
It's been a high-quality season, and full credit to Damien Zane for winning the premiership 3 years in a row with this squad behind us. Pasco done a tremendous job today. I think tactically he nailed it. That's why he got our Harry Snitzel Player of the Day. And you know what an exciting event at McDonald Jones Stadium. I loved it.
CT, what did this season mean to you?
Oh, look, it's been a lot of fun from top to bottom. And you know what? We've had a lot of fun doing this on Bar TV because of that.
And because the players enjoy it, everyone enjoys it, and we enjoy it. You know what? Grand final day proves that you just don't know what's going to happen. People picked Edgeworth. These guys are the winners, and they deserved it today. And well done to Jim Pascoe.
Well, boys, can I just say thanks to both of you for being at my side for every match this season, whether it was both or one of you. It was an outstanding year, so thank you both.
And thank you, mate. You've done a tremendous job as usual, and can't wait for next year.
Yeah, thanks to you, CT, as well.
Look, but people know that you've got a destiny here, and we're enjoying the ride. It's good fun.
Well, until next season, we will get to see you on the NPL Review Show this Thursday at 7 p.m. But this is it for us for season 2017. It has been our pleasure to bring the matches of the round to you every week. And until 2018, it's goodbye from us.